Welcome everybody to the League Zero Season 5 Intermediate Grand Finals. I am Joe Razor, joined here by Acronator, and we are getting ready to hop into this match between the Louisiana Lobsters and the Melbourne Midnights, two teams which have faced each other numerous times throughout the season, and I'm excited to see how this matchup is gonna.
I think Joe cut out there, but yeah, definitely. This game is going to be a real has a lot of potential to go the distance, and there is actually a fun little factoid that I want to point out, right? Because in particular, and I hinted to this, but I didn't tell anyone about this in the prod crew here. But this is, of course, Tanik B's third Grand Finals appearance. He's won the other two, and both other times that Tanik B has won the Grand Finals, it went to a map 7. So we might be in for the long haul here tonight if we are to crown our very first three-time champion. So that is definitely going to be interesting, as well as just looking back at the Lobsters' whole season, right? Starting off as one of the absolute bottom teams in their division, slowly working their way up to the top, not quite able to like overcome that the Meerkat Melbourne barrier, right? Maybe taking a few maps off of them, but not really able to beat them too often. And then suddenly they work their way through to the grand finals up in the winners bracket. It's quite the Cinderella story.
I mean, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, like you said, Lobsters, they were struggling throughout this entire season, only getting 2 wins throughout the entire season. Obviously, the first round, and they managed to get a big win there uh, to start this upper bracket run, which has been, like you said, it has been honestly incredible. Taking a 3-1 over Midnights, the 3-1 over Meerkat Collapse, the two best teams in Inter this year, and now securing themselves a spot in the grand finals. And on the other side, Midnights, they've had a much tougher road in this postseason. I mean, obviously losing to Midnight, but then once they got down the Lobsters, excuse me, then once they got down to the lower bracket, they seemed to like find their groove again, getting a nice win over Engage and then Blind Eye Society, and then last night managing to get the 3-1 win to take down Collapse and get themselves here. And both these teams, they have looked like pretty dominant in a lot of their performances, uh, except that initial match with between Lobsters and the Midnights. That game was pretty close. It was a 3-1, and all the maps played pretty closely. So I think it is pretty interesting to see that these teams have been beat pretty much everybody else in this postseason. But that one game against each other was their the closest match either team has played.
Yeah, pretty much. And it looks like we're going to be heading off to Nepal. The first map was chosen by the Louisiana Lobsters, despite the fact that they're the lower seed. They did make their way through the winners bracket, so they get the the higher seed treatment, I guess we'll call it. Heading off to Nepal. Worth noting here as we get into the lobby itself, there's two notable people with alt accounts. Personally, I'm just going to be calling them by their actual names. Mr. Fister's Optical Crash and Yaowo is Stratocaster. I am certainly not going to be saying that. God help you if you want to attempt Strato's alt name, Joe. Either way.
uh, Maybe not tonight.
Maybe another time, yeah.
Maybe another time. Fun fact quickly, there was a game I casted. It was NA Avoided, and they played against Meow Kitty Per Owo. That was their entire name.
Not the worst I've seen. I had to cast for, I think it was GGNA, and there was a Bang Bros University, but that's neither here nor there.
I casted them a total of 4 times throughout all of their GGNA runs.
But we are going to be starting off here. Neither team really showing us anything different in terms of compositions on Nepal Shrine to start things off.
Yeah, the ball complex we expected from Melbourne, and then the ball from Louisiana. You can see the support line trying to sit up on top of this high ground, trying to support their tanks too are kind of just getting pushed out. Some really nice usage of the Mei and the creep, and now you're seeing them run down onto this diva, speed boosting it, get the opening pick.
This is starting to look a lot like the first round of the playoffs in the upper bracket between these two teams, because Lobsters just had this ball composition on lock, right? They would just run forward, melt the backline. They didn't care about the wrecking ball. They could just kill everyone else in the meantime, and then Epic Shock and Laser, in this case on the Tracer, can't really do anything by themselves. All the Maywall to boost up, the supports are just gonna get melted.
Yeah, but you say that, but they really struggled there, and now they end up losing the Reinhardt, and so they have to back up some as they continue to lose pieces. And now you're going to see Laser and Shadowcaster really heading in, trying to take down this backline. And so what looked like a really nice play ends up turning itself on its head, and now Melbourne Midnight, they're going to be able to get a flip.
It is going to be a little bit of a stall fight here. Tanic does have the Blizzard, but definitely doesn't want to invest it. It's really just stalling for as much percentage as possible. 40, close to 40%, 39 in fact. So that's effectively like, what, 2 good fights that the Lobsters held on to the point there, despite it really only being one elongated fight. Coming up into this next engagement, I'm probably going to be looking at either the High Noon or the Blizzard with the window from the Lobsters, and more than likely the EMP bomb from Melbourne. At least those are the combos that stand out to me the most, although I don't see Mani getting into position for the EMP quite yet.
Yeah, oh, there it is, comes in for here, but misses Gusty, so they're gonna have to sound to counter that. And there goes down, blow him up. Translocator on the spot to get out, not able to do so by himself. And now this is looking all Louisiana Lobsters, and Earth Shatter's gonna come in as well. That appears to be a bit of a solo shatter, but it's gonna end up working out then. Not too sure about the window usage, but they will end up winning this fight.
It does force, the window does force Epic Shock to take a little bit of an off angle, and it allows them to get more pressure onto the point. They never really lost majority control of the point because of that, just by a few percentages, but I mean, by the time Melbourne could even win the next fight, if they do, it's going to be like 60+%, probably closer to 70 at that point. You're getting into one fight territory, so I don't really blame the window, especially because you still have both DPS ultimates from Tanic and Optical Crash. You're going to have the Diva remake in just a second, and Epic Shock stood no chance.
Bye, Epic Shock. Just like gone from the game. Not allowed to play. Absolutely decimated, and now this is gonna put a bit of a stall on Louisiana, on Melbourne Midnight. And you can see the Lobsters, they're gonna try to push forward and find another kill. They lose the mech and now the Lucio. A Blizzard will kind of zone the tanks off the point for a moment, but while this is happening, you can see Melbourne just spread out throughout the map and finding off angles to get these picks. And so they will continue to chunk down the Lobsters and get a flip there in a fight that's kind of really good for the Lobsters.
I don't even know if you'd call this a bad fight for the Lobsters, outside of the fact that they obviously didn't close out the round, but I mean, they're in one fight territory, right? And Melbourne, they're gonna have to win like 3, maybe 4 fights to claim this round if they want to do so. Now, they do have some ultimates building up, but the Lobsters do as well. In particular, that High Noon, unless Mani wants to waste an EMP to deal with it, it's going to be difficult to find a solo hack. Already have... Okay, there it is.
Yeah, a solid EMP is going to hit for, including that Lucio who had the Sound Bearer. And now you got the double hack on him as well, and they will be able to take him down. Really nice start there. But there's that High Noon you were talking about, but the defense matrix gets in the face just in time to shut it down. And so Melbourne Midnight will be able to play up the fight. I mean, really nicely played from start to finish there by the Midnight.
Yeah, definitely. And notably on the Lobster side of things, they had a ton of resources, like I said at the beginning of that previous fight, but they didn't really feel like they had a plan. You have Mani trying to get a cheeky hack on Gusty to make sure they can't touch. Now we're getting into one fight territory for everyone. They should be able to touch, don't worry about that, but do or die for both of these teams in this round.
Yeah, being engaged there, but the Reinhardt gets sectioned off and the Diva Bomb will shut him down. Absolutely huge. It's a Blizzard, once again, just a zoning Blizzard. It will allow them to take control of the objective, though, and get the flips. And I got a 99-99 situation, and both teams are down crucial members. You're losing for Drano, though, could be the death blow to the Louisiana Lobsters. You have so low healing, and I'm a big EMP will hit the remaining members. Laser will come in on the cleanup, and that looks like it will be Shrine going the way of Melbourne Midnight.
There's certainly no one that can touch. Maybe
Maybe the
optical.
Tracer?
He attempted it, but I mean, he was going into a 1v6. There's only so much he can do. Either way, really close round, and I kind of hope it's indicative of what the series is going to be like, because you never want to see a complete blowout. We've had a few 4-0s in years past, and it's pretty boring when that happens. Cough Advanced Division. It's happened almost every single time. I think the closest we've ever had in Advanced was a 4-1. But Intermediate and formerly Novice Division, when we had one of those, were usually pretty close. Now, of course, coming into Village, this is definitely not a traditional Wrecking Ball map, especially when Tanic likes to play, well, he doesn't like to play, but he's forced to play that May here. The wall is just so ugly for a Wrecking Ball to try and play into. You do have Mani now on Pharah trying to make something of that, but you really need to have an all-star level performance to do something with that. I don't remember. Okay, Tanic. that happened before I could finish my sentence.
All right. You do have the res there, so you will be able to still engage in this fight. But burning the res there is pretty big. If not to take down the Pharah, you're not going to have the resurrect for that. So this is going to be really hard for Melbourne to get in. You're really just looking at the Pharah that I just mentioned to try to find an opening pick. Because if he doesn't get anything, Louisiana could just sit here.
The thing with this brawl composition, especially on this round, is that they can just hunker down on the point, and it's almost impossible for a ball composition to really do anything unless Bonnie's finding the picks, which he's really not. I mean, he has the barrage, but can he find anything with it? Nope.
And like I said, you don't have the resurrect for that, and you do have the mercy going down anyways, and so now the core of Louisiana Lobsters will run out, clean up this fight. Really nicely played, and they already have 25%.
Rocket is very much staggered. That's nasty. He just couldn't get out. There was a wall from Tanic. He was just dead to rights whenever they decided to take him out. I'm kind of surprised that Melbourne isn't swapping. I know they love this Wrecking Ball composition, but they do play other things occasionally. They must have staggered Dawes even harder than Rocket, and that's going to kill like another 15%. Okay, they do get the res in, but
yeah,
they
but
don't have that.
You don't have the res for like mid-fight or like if there's another early pick there. So, and with the Wrecking Ball going in, I mean, dead, out, gone, and you have the Immortality field to deal with the Pulse Bomb. I mean, Louisiana Lobsters look really well, and they might be getting a bit too big for their bridges. They try to go for a TP play there, but they do actually TP back in time and force out Transcendence. Now they have the sound barrier, and this will just force all of Melbourne Midnight's away. And you can see they're still making use of this teleporter, which somehow is not broken yet. Okay, it'll finally get down, but I mean, this has just been a masterclass so far by the Lobsters.
In order to actually capture the point, they need to be on the point. And Tanic has Blizzard. That takes up, like, the entire point. What is Melbourne going to do?
But that's just going to get broken, and there's the Blizzard, like you mentioned. And so, like, what are Melbourne supposed to do?
Swap. This is not the comp. Okay. Okay, maybe.
Yeah, oh, and a huge Diva Bomb! Okay, that's one way to do it. You lose the Reinhardt there, and when you just plop the Diva Bomb down, there's not much you can do about it. So they finally break in here, but that required them to use almost all of their ultimates and get kind of a fluky fight with.
I'm gonna say it. Dawes was robbed of, I believe, even a nomination from the off-tank role star, because he has been ridiculously consistent at a really above average level the entire season, right? It's not just about being like having these crazy once in a lifetime performances, it's about doing it consistently, and Dawes does that more than what's reasonable. Okay, laser.
So this is a way that you can win this. If you just have a player get a 4-3, a 2-4K every fight, you can win.
Problem is that sustainable, right? Can you rely on these hero plays, especially now that they only have support ultimates online? So I mean, Mani might be able to build up another barrage, but what are the odds that basically press Q to die ult is going to pull off a miracle yet again, right? It's already happened once this round. Can they do it again, especially with the lamp still available, with the beats potentially still available if the lamp doesn't last for that long? They're already on the point, mind you.
Yeah, I mean, and now they have the sound barrier as well. They're going to start tapping up. The Shatter's going to come in to delay the tag for a moment, but it does come in from the Wrecking Ball. Epic Shock coming from behind. It will get blown up.
Oh, no.
If Brick Drainer will kill 2, and now the Mayward's going to shut Dawes out of the objective, or into the objective, take it down, and that will be Lobsters winning this. So like you said, could you come up with these quick plays
Oh.
consistently? Doesn't look so. And this will be Louisiana Lobsters tying it up and sending us to safety.
I gotta give them credit. They got almost halfway to the finish line there with 48% on the clock. But I mean, like, they were fighting an uphill battle, right? That's the one map that you really don't want to play Wrecking Ball if it's not working, right? If it works, then fine, whatever. Keep rolling with it, but like, Village is not the place to run Wrecking Ball consistently. Optical Crash does usually like to run the Soldier here. I'm going to be interested to see if he runs out on it, though, because how valuable is that going to be against like a Sombra and Tracer as opposed to something like the Cassie? Hard to say. Otherwise, Melbourne just sticking with it. Same old, same old. Probably going to be what we're seeing for the majority of the series unless they're forced to swap off, which did happen the first round of playoffs when Louisiana Lobsters did send Melbourne down to the losers bracket. But who knows if lightning can strike twice, right?
Yeah. You can see it just speeding around.
Bring around the Rosie.
Yeah. Wrecking Ball's going to try to engage it, but gets frozen out. I mean, Epic Shock has died
Come on.
about, I think he's died, I've counted 6 times that way.
Let's see. We have stats, as it turns out. 5 in total, this map.
5. Okay. All of his stats have been the same way.
Yeah.
Like,
really
that I know. So, I mean, this fight's over. You lose most supports, you lose your Wrecking Ball. Not much you can do. They can stall for a little bit.
They're going to lose the Wrecking Ball again. But no.
Those are 2 environmental kills by a May and a Reinhardt.
Oh, God. That's even more BM than the other death, where just getting freeze to death, you get frozen, and then can't stop yourself from falling off the edge. That's just mean. And now Frick has the amplification matrix before really anyone else. Laser's coming up to that pulse bomb, but I mean, Frick's going to be able to pull the trigger a lot faster. And Gusty is watching this edge as well, so like, Laser's going to have to really try something, but they already lost Strato.
Yeah, it's not a great start there. Pulse bomb's going to come and get eaten by Fimi.
Come on, man. This is just mean. I don't know about that one, unless he's gonna swap, in which case it makes total sense. But
okay, EMP is not a swap. Ultimate you use when you're swapping.
No,
it's too good of an ultimate, and also he's not swapping.
Oh,
but you lose Frick here, and you have the chance. Maybe this is something you could engage into. But now you can see the Lobsters are trying to go aggressive here once again. They do manage to come up with a kill into D-Mech. They have to pop the sound barrier as Epic Shock kills himself. But he would have died anyways. But,
I didn't even notice that, but either way, cheeky little flip, but it gets them even less than 10%. So I mean, like, can you really be happy with that as Melbourne? This isn't working. I don't know if swapping is necessarily the key, right? Because any composition can work at this level of play. Baz used to tell me that, like, unless you're in Contenders Trials, you don't really need to swap the composition. You just need to change the play style. But like, Melbourne really need to change something up because this very split traditional Wrecking Ball comp is not working out for them.
Yeah, the point's going to start to pick up, though, as you have a tag come through from the Sabra. So this does draw some of the attention away. And now another E from Fimi. Okay, that one was just showing off, because that wasn't even going to hit anybody.
That was just Fimi getting into Laser's mind. The head games are real. Monty has another EMP, but I mean, like, what's he going to use it on? You lost 2 members, I think, at this point?
Yeah, I mean, and it looks like Epic Shock could go down here once again, but and now you see them running forward, taking down the support line. EMP comes through and it does hit quite a bit, which allows for 1 kill, but everybody else already dropped out. An absolutely great round of play there from the Louisiana Lobsters, as they will go up 1-0 in this grand final. Honestly, I'm very impressed by Lobsters this battle.
Yeah, I've been impressed by them the entire season. In all honesty, like having, like you said before, like 3 members, I think, from the draft. I can actually just look up the registry on my second monitor. I'm pretty sure it's like 3 members, Tanakvi being one of them. I believe Holmes as well, the backup.
They have 4.
Yeah, 4 actually. Archivist is still there. Altair comes in usually for the occasional map, does, with the beautiful bomb placement, but it just wasn't enough, especially on this round. You can see they're just fighting an uphill battle, right? The Wrecking Ball comp still has plenty of time to work. But I mean, it just wasn't working in those situations,
Yeah.
right? You got to change something up, regardless of what that is. It wasn't working. I I really hope that Melbourne can figure something out, right? In their previous game against the Lobsters last weekend, actually, earlier in the playoffs, they did end up swapping to, I believe eventually they swapped to like the Reinhardt brawl as well. And I think they had also swapped briefly to like a Winston composition. Epic Shock is rather versatile in terms
Yeah,
of
they did.
tanks. But the Wrecking Ball is definitely his bread and butter this season, and I believe season 4 it was on Tenacity, if I'm not mistaken. It was the Reinhardt that was his bread and butter. Uh,
And a bit of Winston. They played some.
yeah, and a bit of Winston. So like we know he has it in him, but it really depends on what the team has practiced at this point.
Yeah,
And it's
from
hard to say.
my experience watching Epic Shock for, I mean, what, almost 2 years at this point, I've been watching him play. He really feels like he picks up what the team is doing well. Like he can play every main tank to a good level if the rest of the team can also play that comp to a good level. And it's not in the sense that some players where they're just play good if the rest of the team plays good. He really feels like a type of player that melds with his surroundings really well. And so if the team is more versatile on one comp, he can make it work. But if they're not so strong on one comp, you can kind of tell that a lot of the times. So he definitely can, but like you said, the fact that this team hasn't practiced a lot of Reinhardt comps, I think you can really see in a lot of their play. And against Lobsters, which has essentially been playing Brawl only for like
If they
two
can get
months at
away
this
with it,
point,
yeah.
you're going to run into some problems.
Yeah, it's difficult because Lobsters have perfected this brawl to the point where they're throwing in like random strategies. Like we saw in Village, they were effectively using the Sim teleporter to just like get on top of Rocket and Stratocaster. And in particular, they forced out Transcendence at least twice from what I saw in situations where they really didn't want to use Transcendence. They would have much rather saved that for like a Blizzard or maybe like any other kind of ultimate instead of just like, oh no, the Reinhardt's in my face, right? So that's a really good understanding of win conditions, in all honesty, from the Lobsters. Like they know, hey, look, he probably has ult. Let's go at the very least force that out, if not just flat out kill him. And then that's the Zen with Trans out of the fight. Of course,
Yeah.
we are going to be going into a hybrid map next. Unsurprisingly, now that Kings Row is back in the map pool for the first time in a couple of weeks, we're going to Scrims Row. So,
I actually think this is surprising because Melbourne is going to the best brawl map in the game against the best brawl team in the league. And this is like, of course, teams are every team ever is comfortable on Kings, but you're immediately putting yourself at a disadvantage here, right?
yeah, definitely. I mean, like, it's worth
It
noting
feels
that Melbourne, when they faced Meerkat yesterday? Yeah,
yeah,
yesterday.
yesterday.
They both played the Wrecking Ball comp on Kings Row, much to the chagrin of everyone watching that stream. So, like, they're obviously going to want to try and force the Wrecking Ball. It's not awful, but like, it's Reinhardt's like playground,
Yeah.
basically.
I I mean, throughout Overwatch's history, no matter the meta, except that weird double shield meta in 2019,
We don't talk
Reinhardt
about
has
that.
been the best comp on this map, no matter the meta. Six man, Brawl gets played. Uh, Brawl is played. Like it doesn't matter. And so here, you're trying to force a square peg into a circle hole. It's not gonna work. Like you're relying on Louisiana Lobsters to make mistakes, which we have not been seeing them make.
Now
Yeah,
entering
that's
the
part of the problem,
phase
right? And this
of
Wrecking Ball
champions.
composition was originally designed to tear apart the May Cassidy brawl that we're seeing from Lobsters, right? But the problem is that I like to call it the divide and conquer composition because that's essentially what it does, right? It
Right.
divides the brawl and then destroys them, usually mid rotation. But Melbourne just aren't able to do that because the Lobsters are playing this so insanely clean that they're not making mistakes. And that's entirely what
Ready
Melbourne's
for battle.
composition is based around. So if there's no mistakes being made, they just run themselves into a wall, and the wall wins that every single time, as we've been seeing.
Yeah,
Attackers
it's just gonna
incoming
be a
in
rough go of
30
things here.
seconds.
So we're gonna see a soldier pick though here on the defense instead of Cassidy. I'm a big fan of Soldier. I think Soldier should get more playtime currently, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
So I'm a fan of it.
it's always a good meta whenever Soldier is there, and I wouldn't say he's necessarily meta, but the way Optical plays him in this comp, he's been doing this for at least a couple of weeks now since he joined the Lobsters around I think week 4. It's worked to great effect. He uses the sightlines and the split sightlines at that very well. You could see he's up on the high ground, all the rest of the team is on the low ground, but they can't do anything to punish him.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to. I think you're really looking at just hoping to get a pick on the rest of the team, or maybe the Wrecking Ball can take down the Soldier, but you're gonna really be looking just for an opening pick and then to engage in. And you can see Melbourne has worse. Louisiana give up a lot of space, but this is space that you're okay with giving up if you're Louisiana, because you can always just come back out of the hotel and rush down to whoever's trying to cap points. And you see them do that a bit there to force the Ash off. And now you're going to see Timmy actually try to take down the Ash there, and that's going to cost him his mech. So a bit of a misplay coming through there from Dr. Jargo.
However, losing Epic Shock that early in the fight might not work out too well for Melbourne. Lobsters are definitely ready to come back in, and Melbourne just backs out. Like we're not having any of that. Rocket might even get staggered as well if they decide to push it.
Yeah, but you need to give up space here if you are Louisiana, because you don't have Big Granite, so you need to play a little bit carefully. But it doesn't look like Melbourne's going to be able to capitalize on this too much, so yeah, you're going to be okay here if you are Louisiana. Immo is forced out early, though, and now you have to give up a lot of space if you're Louisiana, and this Bob's going to come in and get an opening pick here, and so you're in a winnable position for Melbourne Midnight, and Laser on this high ground will take out Katrina once again, so this is looking really good for Melbourne.
Yeah, definitely. Once they started to put a little bit too much pressure on, that spawn advantage in particular started to really pay dividends. However, when you look at like the ultimates on the defense especially, they have a lot to work with, right? They really only used the window, and I think Fimi was out of mech too much to even build up a bomb. I don't recall him using one. Whereas Melbourne had to use 3, so I mean, it's going to be difficult for them to come into this next fight in the streets phase and deal with like everything that the Lobsters have to throw at them, assuming they play correctly, which I mean they have thus far. So it's hard to say. It's going to require Melbourne to take an early fight here to throw Lobsters off their game.
Yeah, for sure. Good team. Lobsters, they're gonna go for this high ground push. Early tack by Brickley to take down Body there, and it works out spectacularly. Transcendence is gonna come in for Rocket to just stay alive, and now you're gonna see Louisiana try to regroup around the objective, around this blizzard, and try to find any more picks. The freeze on the mech is gonna allow them to get the D-mech, but you have the bomb, but the baby Diva's gonna die before it's able to get back into that mech. And so now Louisiana, they have regained control of this part, but it looks like Melbourne wants to stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, at the very least, they have to deal with this Vara in the backline, but especially with the barrage and the Valk, it's going to be difficult to deal with Mani. So that's going to be a cleanup, and the cart will push a little bit further.
Yeah, I mean, that combination there, like you said, you had the Valk, and you also had the Wrecking Ball coming through from behind, and that trio really just decimated Louisiana.
Yeah, definitely. They're making it rather awkward for Louisiana to exist, which is exactly how you have to play this composition, right? They're starting to get the chance to punish them mid-rotation, which again is exactly how you need to deal with it, but you also need to deal with the Shatter.
Yeah, but it's like everybody's dying while the Reinhardt tries to go forward, tries to get some space, and Melbourne Midnights, I was criticizing this map pick, but they seem to have figured this out, and they're playing this extremely well.
Well, I think if anything, they really would have practiced this. Most teams generally do. Actually forces Optical Crash onto the Somber now, and Frick. Actually, yeah, they're going like pure 6-man rush kind of Winston composition. So this is something that we do see Lobsters like to play quite a bit whenever they're forced off. This is going to be a little bit awkward for Melbourne to play into now.
Yeah, for sure. Louisiana, they're played inside this mega health pack, waiting for their moment to engage out, and there they go, trying to hunt down the Diva mech. But the barrage is going to come through from behind, create some problems. That's going to result in 2 kills there. You do end up getting the trade, so it is definitely still a winnable fight, but the Resurrect is there online. And so you take this advantage back, and with this Transcendence, it's just going to create a world of problems there for Louisiana, as Timmy's going to lose their back, and now they're going to have to back up, give up the space to the side of Melbourne Midnight.
Having a lot being invested into this push from Melbourne, meaning that the closer it gets to that final checkpoint and the closer it gets to the Louisiana spawn, it's going to be that much more difficult, right? Because they've just been banking on like what they have the EMP, they're going to have the pulse bomb, they have both support ultimates. How is Melbourne going to play into this?
Yeah, you're going to come out with this full essence and manage to remove the Pharaoh from the fight. I'm not sure if you have Resurrect online, but there's a good EMP to hit too. May hit so the remake knock up through from Dog, and really put a lot of pressure on Epic Shock there, who also got hit with that EMP. It will take an advantage here if you are Louisiana. Lobsters and Panic be headed into the backline there with the pulse bomb. Now Louisiana will regain control and finally be able to like put a stop to this attack.
Yeah, definitely. I would almost wonder if Monty is going to want to swap off of the Fire, because it is a rather claustrophobic area, right? The Fire Mercy's only going to get so much value when a diva can use like half of her boost and get in your face, as opposed to having to get up to the skybox. But at the very least, they've been playing this really well to actually section off parts of this dive, right? Specifically the backline, just put so much pressure on them that they can't deal with.
Yeah, for sure. And there it is, opening pick, and the barrage is going to come through, but the defense matrix in the face is going to cause some problems. But this minefield is kind of trapped Louisiana, and this is heading towards a capture. I'm incredibly impressed there. This was an incredibly impressive attack from Melbourne.
Yeah,
now,
definitely.
They have a minute 40 on the clock here. This is going to be tough now for Louisiana.
Certainly, however, if memory serves, the Lobsters have always had a little bit of difficulty defending, and they've just been like much better on the offense. So I don't entirely trust it. I want to see this next round play out, or at least the first couple fights of this next round. Because if they like take first point, first fight, you know, and just keep steamrolling through, it would make a little bit more sense and fit with the patterns that we've seen thus far. But it is totally possible that Melbourne keep this momentum in, like, if not first hold, maybe second hold. Streets phase is rather deadly for the brawl compositions when they're playing into something more niche like this Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, for sure.
Ready for battle.
So,
I don't think they're going to run out of any Risa, but who knows?
I don't think so either. Wouldn't make a lot of sense either. Just like, no matter the team, it doesn't make sense. Especially not for Louisiana. But, bit of a variation here, kind of what you normally see on the defense here with this ball comp, where you have the Sigma instead of the Diva. A bit more defensive and provides a bit more defensive utility. So, makes a lot of sense.
Is potentially risky, however, because the Diva, of course, has more ability to deal with people in her face, right? Whereas the Sigma, when someone's like right on top of him, he can't do anything. Like, he's dead at that point. And we know the Lobsters like to run brawl. They're actually running out on the Orisa. My god. Okay, this is happening. So they're just like, okay, you know what? Screw you guys. We're not going to play the brawl. We're just going to roll you over with double hit scan, as many possible stuns as they could get.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. I'm anxious to see how this is going to play out, because this could put a lot of pressure here onto the backline, as missing the shield is not a great start.
I didn't even notice that until you pointed out.
You lose Gusty there due to the backline pressure as well as that dynamite. So Louisiana, I think his cost kind of sucks against Melbourne, what Melbourne's running.
Honestly, in theory, it would go about 50-50 depending on how they play in right now. They're just kind of taking too much poke damage to do anything about it. Tanic cannot seem to get a hold on Monty's Tracer, and that's really what you need to do. Epic Shock needs to die there if they want to do anything. The window early, but I mean, like, who are they going to shoot? Yeah. Okay, well, Dawes is who they shoot.
Okay.
It's working. My god.
It feels like a bit of a misplay there for Melbourne.
Definitely.
I mean, everybody just like went out of position and died. Like, I'm not
basically, yeah.
Really sure my dog was playing there. But...
Wait. Okay, the Bob did. I thought the Bob got stuck on the high ground for a second. I was like, did that really just happen? No, he did go to the point, but he just got melted.
I wonder if we're gonna see a swap onto the Pharah here.
Monty would be psychotic if he swapped a Farah into this. Like double hit scan, literally almost everyone on the Lobsters besides Joe and Gusty could do something about the Pharah, so like I would not recommend it.
Yeah, but I kind of think it could work because of how the sightlines of King's Row work, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
It really depends on how Monty's feeling, and I'm probably not feeling too confident when he has to watch his own sightlines like crazy. High Noon coming in from Tannic. Not sure if he's gonna find anything, but it's probably.
Oh,
Monty just walks into it.
Oh no. All right. Mindfield's gonna come up to the card as well as a Rabbinic Flux. That's gonna pick up a few members. And Joe could go down here, and he does. So Dawes with a really nice 2K, making up for Monty's misplay there. So the tanks will be able to essentially win this fight on their own.
Yeah, pretty much. They even get the D-Mech there on Fimi. But I mean, like, look at the time bank. This is looking pretty good for Lobsters so far. Granted, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Melbourne had more or less the same time bank coming into the Streets phase. It wasn't until third point that they started to get stalled out for real. Ultimate's relatively even on both sides. The one major advantage I'd say for the Lobsters right now is the Bongo, but it depends on where they place it.
There's the pulse
Oh, Monty.
That's the stick, but you have the immortality field, so that's good that you can force that out there. And Frick Draina drops as soon as he pops the window there. And so now you have a player advantage, but Rocket's going to get run down here, but actually a good D-Mech, and Rocket should be able to get out of this alive. Oh, okay, now.
Beautiful peel from Melbourne to keep Rocket alive. They know their win condition. The Flux, I'm not sure about. It wasn't that desperate of a fight. They probably won.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe not now.
Yeah, Drops put himself in a really unfavorable position to try to get value out of that buff, and now they lose the fight because of it. You have to play really defensive now for Melbourne, as you actually see Monty going.
Oh, Rocket!
Now.
Oh no, Rocket had to use the Transcendence to save himself, and now they're just stalling the cart with it. But I mean, that's the Transcendence you could have used for literally anything else. They did find Gusty though, so that was a decent start.
Yeah, so definitely doable here for Melbourne, as you're putting a lot of pressure here onto the back line. The dive's going to come through from the Wrecking Ball, and you have everybody incredibly weak, and they have to use the Immortality to try to stabilize here on this corner.
Both supports from Lobsters incredibly low from the poke coming in from Monty, so they're going to have to play it a little bit safe, but Dawes can shoot around corners, as it turns out. Actually, I think Monty can too. So that's just going to be a fight. Win for the defense, and back to the drawing board.
Yeah, not that very scrappy 2 minutes there. That felt like a never-ending fight for 2 minutes.
Yeah, we're having a full swap from the Lobsters. They decide, you know what, Brawl is probably worth it, especially now with this hyper claustrophobic play area, right? It's not as open as first point. They're gonna be able to just like get onto Dawes' face if they want. The Dragons is good. Monty, that was disgusting.
That was beautifully placed, and no, I'm on Fibby right now, and Fibby like puts a perfect defense matrix up, but because of the distance there and the wall in between them, the Dragon Strike can't be eaten, so just a really nice heads-up play there for Monty.
Actually, I don't think the wall really matters in that case.
It's not, it's the distance.
Yeah,
it did through the wall. Like,
it did prevent Fimi from getting any closer, but either way, it was probably like 10 meters away, so there was only so much he could do. Lobsters now wrapping around. They want to get the point positioning flipped around. They're chasing Dawes down. You can see it. They're like, oh, look, the most immobile people in the entire game. Let's go straight on top of them. I didn't know where Laser was.
And flank coming through from Panic as he comes through from the side with the help of this Bob, but the main core is dying to the Tonzo as Monty manages to take down the support line all in his lonesome. So now Louisiana are in an interesting spot where they have the man advantage but don't have any support.
If they notice Stratocaster in the backline, they might be able to do something about him, but now that Gusty's coming back into the fight, especially the Lucio being able to speed boost the tanks if necessary, it's going to be a little bit dicey. This is last fight, though, for second point at the very least. This is do or die for Lobsters. They're asking the Bob to stall it out, but no one else is going up to touch. Oh, no,
the trans to touch, so they do get the tag. And now you have the tanks returning
Oh, no.
right to a good dragon strike there. He's gonna force out the immortality for everybody incredibly weak, and the flux could clean this up nicely. As that's gonna hit green, you have no immortality field for that, but they're not able to get any follow-up damage to confirm the kill. Dame are now coming through, trying to keep everybody alive, but they will manage to run down Monty and Shadowcaster from Louisiana Lobsters in the 10th hour, managed to come out on top.
Definitely, yeah. It's going to take a little bit of time to clear out Epic Shock, but I mean, he can't run down the clock any further. We do have a auto pause. Looks like, yeah, optical crashed. Optical
I
crashed.
was gonna say something because Optical was like running into a wall there at the very end of the fight. Like the mini there next to the point just started running up the staircase and into the wall. So
unfortunate. I don't recall how close he was to his ultimate. Probably not very close.
oh, and also it was like a swap to get back to the point.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So at the very least, Optical is back in the game now. Seems to be good to go. I think.
Looks.
Yeah, we're pretty much all set, I believe.
So, but I mean, looking at the time bank here, you already have a better time bank if you're Melbourne.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have to be happy with this, and if they could get this into overtime, they've secured at least a draw. So you really have to win this next fight if you are Louisiana.
Yeah, definitely. However, they have the ultimates to make that work, and now with Optical on the Tracer, that pulse bomb's going to build up crazy fast. You know, it's basically just a cooldown instead of an ultimate. The Frick's going to have that window. Gusty just used the beat, so he's not going to have that for a while, but if they can find something with the high noon, nothing.
Monty popped the recall right as Panic came around the corner. And they were lucky it ended because the recall was right in the face there. But Panic was into the pause to take down Rocket.
That was disgusting.
Crazy play there. And now you have command advance, but the accretion will actually Ajax the shatter there. So nice little play there coming through from Dog. And the Evil Bomb coming towards the objective now, trying to clear people out. As you're incredibly split now for Louisiana, they have to regroup. They have to kind of stack back on this Reinhardt, and they will do so on the objective. But you're still down Panic, so you're going to wait for that respawn to come back through. And they're being forced back here by the Wrecking Ball, so they need to try to figure something out. But they need to win this fight now if they want to be able to win this match.
Definitely, but Optical winning the Tracer 1v1 is a great start to that. They do have Dawes with the Flux rather soon, but Gusty's also dangerously close to that beat, so it might be all for naught, but Optical, come on, man.
Okay, Optical's going to go down to the pulse pump, and I mean, look at this clock, it's very close to OG.
Oh no,
and this
overtime and it's a draw at best.
Send it into overtime, so this is going to be a draw at best down for Lobsters. Nicely done. It looks like they should be able to get the capture, and they will do so, but really
tried to get a Sig 9.
They almost got the Sig 9, but
I respect the attempt. But yeah, this is going to be a little under 2 minutes. A little under 2 minutes to get a single tick on first point for Melbourne. If they can't, then it's a draw, and this map was literally a 15-minute waste of time for both of these teams. But it was good for us. It's good for production.
It's been a fun map. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
It's been a fun map of over.
And mind you, if Melbourne does win this, first off, that's like a 15-minute slog just to even up the series, because Lobsters are currently up 1-0 in the series, of course, first to 4. So if it is 1-1, we're in for the long haul. I don't blame Lobsters for coming out on the Orisa composition. Tanic B has actually done a lot of good stuff on the Torbjorn the entire season. Mostly on Busan, whenever they do play it. But I mean, it's not a meme. Like, he pulls this pick off incredibly well. Optical on the Ash, been doing really good this entire map.
And I also think the Torb, especially playing into Melbourne's playstyle, is the perfect pick. I mean, you put a lot of extra pressure onto Epic Shock to his bed. I mean, Epic Shock's just had a rough go of it this game. And you add in that Torbjorn, it can become even worse. And it also puts some pressure on the Pharah as well when the Pharah tries to take off angle. So you get a lot of value with this Torb.
Honestly, they're going to have to just spam out Joe's shield here from the Orisa. A lot of spam damage coming in, but nothing really coming of it right now. Melbourne is a little bit cautious to get onto the point quite yet.
Yeah.
Oh no.
There's the opening, and so now Melbourne, they're in a good spot here. Louisiana, they're gonna lose pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
This will be
60
Melbourne
seconds remaining.
taking map number 2, and they're gonna be tying up the series. I criticized this map pick, but it works out for them in the end.
Yeah, they certainly didn't get it easily, though, as you'd kind of hope for Melbourne's map pick. But
Player of the
at the
game.
very least, I mean, it works, it works. Dawes getting 2 plays of the game for the 2 maps we've played thus far. The Grav Flux that we questioned is apparently good enough for play. I guess not so much.
This was
What came after.
the questionable grab flux came about 2 minutes later. I mean,
Incredibly close so far, though.
I mean, yeah, these teams have been neck and neck. This is what I was hoping for. I knew these teams had the capability to play close, and they've shown it.
Definitely. But we're going to be taking a very short break here to give production a little bit of time to breathe in between the maps 2 and 3. Coming up next is going to be some form of escort, so don't go anywhere, folks. We have a lot of grand finals ahead of us.
Welcome back, everybody, to League Zero. We have just wrapped up the first two maps of our intermediate grand finals. Once again, I'm Joe Razor, joined here by Acronator, and I'm excited here. Two incredibly close maps on Lijiang, not Lijiang, Nepal, and then King Zero. And now we're heading to everybody's favorite escort map, which it feels like it's the King's Row of escort as we head to Rialto.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't really think too many people like a lot of the escort maps. I don't know if people really like Rialto, but it's like the one that's most tolerable that people seem to pick like 24/7 because they just dislike all the others even more. Not much more to say. I mean, occasionally we'll see Dorado being chosen because people like dive composition, mostly in advanced division, that is. But yeah, I would expect more or less the same thing from both of these teams. Brawl, maybe some Winston compositions from the Lobsters, but I wouldn't blame them for just running the Brawl. Seeing if it works, you know? Melbourne has no reason to swap off for the Wrecking Ball composition, especially not on Rialto where it's so incredibly open. Even on third point where it's a little bit more closed off, there's just nothing there to force them off unless Lobsters decimate them more like they did on the Paul.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I think this is probably the best. Like I said this about King's Row, in regards to it being good for Lobsters, despite it being Melbourne's pick. I feel like this is good for Melbourne, despite it being Lobster's pick. Rialto has always been an incredibly good ball map. I mean, you look back through the history of like since Roll Acquisition, Ball Sigma has been the best comp on this map, or that or Double Shield. Double Shield's always been good. So I'm not really too sure what to predict here. Like I know I'm giving my politician's answer where I take like 30 seconds to say I have no clue. But yeah, I really don't know what to expect here. I know that's like my job to know things, but like I'm not too sure.
You're the play-by-play. You don't need to know things. You just need to talk good. Either way, you will notice that the teams are swapped around now. The Lobsters on the offense. Melbourne chose defense first and foremost, so we're gonna see confirmation on what they want to play first. It's more than likely gonna be Wrecking Ball. I don't see any reason to change that up. Whereas Lobsters have a little bit of time to meme around and spawn. Okay. Okay, so we actually have Halt Hook, more or less. They're unironically running out on the Bastion, unless they're going to jump off the bridge and do that whole thing. And they are, in fact, running back Epic Shock.
No bridge. They're running.
Where is Epic Shock? There he is. Okay, yeah, they are, in fact, debating us.
Yeah.
That's okay, because we still get a good, like, 15 seconds before the doors open, so it's going to be...
Did it jump into the pit almost makes me feel like they thought about running that call.
Maybe, or they just didn't want to, they wanted to keep Lobsters guessing as if there was anything to guess about, I guess, but yeah, nothing surprising about any of this whatsoever. Shocking, I know.
So, good day well there. This is going to allow for them to rotate underneath if they just want to run up behind Melbourne, and they'll be able to do that. The pile drive comes through from Epic Shock attack. Attack by with the dive by for multiple members and allows the Granite to go down, followed up by Gusty for no support there for Louisiana. Really nice first fight there by Melbourne.
Looks like Lobsters are just going to back out. Not quite entirely. Looks like Tannic wants to push the cart a little bit, but Epic Shock and Monty are guarding the cart, preventing it from going too far forward. Eventually they do have to give up space, though, as the brawl is going to be in their face otherwise. And they definitely are engaging onto Dawes now. They know the weak link, and if laser gone, there's really no backup in the crossfire.
Yeah, so I mean, that's honestly a really nice engage there from Lobsters. Like you said, managed to take down Monty, shut out that crossfire, and they'll start to be able to move the cart, but you're probably get another contestant from Melbourne.
More than likely, yeah, especially with that pick off on the Tannic B. May isn't exactly going to get back rather fast, right? But notably, Frick is going to have that amp matrix. They can toss it in, make it a little bit awkward for Melbourne to push in. They do have to respect the Hanzo, however.
Yeah, you have to be a bit careful of that, and it's actually going to be the Zenyatta of Rocket who gets the opening swing there, taking down Optical, and very interesting move sends the Epic Shock in an interesting direction, but taking down Monty here gives Louisiana a fighter's chance, but a Transcendence will allow Melbourne to kind of sustain on the Zenyatta and clean up the fight pretty handily.
Yeah, you have Tannic deciding, even though he was on a pretty harsh flank, that he wasn't even going to bother trying to fight anything, just jumps off. Probably for the better. They don't want to wear down the clock too much because the card right now is very much in favor of the spawn advantage for Melbourne. And Lobsters have plenty of ultimates to work with here. I mean, they have the Blizzard, they can just toss that on the cart and you can't contest, otherwise you're just going to die, right? They don't have Transcendence anymore, they don't really have anything to sustain through a Blizzard.
Yeah, you're gonna have the minefield come through from on the backside here, and they're gonna chase down Rocket, get the opening pick there, and a good bucks there, but you have the down barrier to try to keep
no one can touch.
But they
it wasn't quite a C9 because like they were all split, but it's I'd say like it's like one step below a C9 though. They were physically too far away. Monty just gets like yeeted into the river or canal. I guess this is Venice, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna call that one a C9. I'll give Melbourne the benefit of the doubt. It wasn't that they didn't touch the point, it's that they couldn't touch the point. Epic Shock gets debated there, blue balled if you will, as the blue ball, and just gonna have to do something with this engagement up on the high ground.
Yeah, they will engage through. They have the window, Lobsters that is, and they push past it, and they manage to get 3 kills their Optical Crash does. But Epic Shock answers back into of its own, so you're in a situation where Lobsters, they had what appeared to be a really nice engage, but Epic Shock just told them no, and killed everybody. And
well, you say that, but the cart's still moving, and the Lobsters are coming back.
Nobody alive, so they can't stick around.
No, they do decide to back out eventually, but the Lobsters still have the bomb. They have the Blizzard that they haven't used at all. I mean, Laser and Epic Shock are the closest ones, and Rocket to anything. Rocket's gonna have to build up that Transcendence fast if they want to deal with the Blizzard. Where was Dawes even to die to that? Either way.
I don't know. Blizzard's gonna come through. A solo Blizzard onto Laser. They try to... Joe tried to shatter his head. Rocket just kill him, and Rocket just like pop trance and left. Nice try.
In
but
the back
they're not
line.
killing anybody. They have a big advantage, but they're not killing anything. And now they're dying.
Oh, you're kidding me. That was...
What are Lobsters doing?
They just lost target focus. Everyone was so split. Monty was in the back line, finding a few picks here and there. And it just got to the point where they couldn't kill anything, and the respawn advantage was too much in favor of Melbourne at that point. It's unfortunate for the Lobsters, but very fortunate for Melbourne that they were able to regroup. It's exactly what they needed. And honestly, Lobsters are going to have to do something with Monty in particular. He's getting too much value.
That's such a good Dragon Strike as well. I mean, it allows them to take down Optical Crash. It forces out Immortality, which means the Squash. They don't have it for the Squash. The Sound Barrier comes through, but it looks like it actually missed Frigstrata and Panic Me somehow. And so that's just really nicely done there from Melbourne. They played everything in that fight.
Oh, the money. Fimi finding money, and they get to use the res for it, but I mean, that's something you're definitely not going to have in what is potentially the final fight. That's getting risky for Melbourne, especially because they only have the belt. And I mean, that gets hard countered by the high noon, so if Lobsters play this correctly and get across the bridge in one piece, which is the operative statement there, then this could be very good for them. Not sure why they're going up to this stairway, however. This is exactly what Melbourne wants out of them, and losing Frick, not good. He had the window. They needed him to survive to win this fight.
Yeah, you have 3 seconds now, so...
They might not even be able to touch, let alone capture second point now.
They're just standing here taking toes. And now they're trying to come back to the bridge to pick up Frick, which makes sense, but... Like he said, they need to get to the objective. Epic Shots him might go down here, and he does.
Can they touch, though?
And why is Shadowcaster just like...
I think he was trying to pocket Laser, but Laser had died or something along those lines. Either way, there's still very much another fight in here for the defense, so this is getting really dicey for Lobsters. Donk is going to have to do something with this Shatter, and losing Tanic so early is not good at all. He can't even Shatter, he's too low.
Yeah, and now you have the minefield coming through with this engage. This is really nicely played. You have the bomb which throws him off for just a moment, gets a pick, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. The dynamite as well, so this will be lost being shut down. I mean, this attack is just a textbook example of why this point is so hard to push as an attacker. I mean, Melbourne just made use of every single advantage the defenders get and successfully held off the Lobsters.
Definitely. They just, especially once they got 2 second points, they utilized the bridge to perfection on just like poking nonstop, right? As I was saying, Mani was getting way too much value on that Hanzo, and Lobsters needed to do something to shut that down. And the way you deal with spam heroes is to just play fast. The Lobsters seem to be a little bit rattled, especially after that long and grueling King's Row. They're starting to lose momentum. And this is something that I had hoped they had cleaned up from the middle of the season, where they lost a couple of these games against teams like Melbourne and Meerkats, where if they didn't have the momentum, they would just kind of fall apart. And they're not quite there yet, but they're definitely underperforming compared to Nepal, right? Just 2 maps ago, an hour ago, granted, but they're going to need to pull it together, because at the very least there's going to be 2 more maps after this one if Melbourne just like sweep right from here on out. So the Lobsters have the time, they just need to find the composure to bring it back and play a little bit faster, especially because they're running out on this brawl composition now. With close holds, my rule of thumb is usually if it can hold for at least 45 seconds, it's worth it, because then you see a notable difference in the clock. But that's a little bit of a tall order, especially because they're going for not quite the spawn hold, but a closer hold. And Epic Shock should... now they know, because it's Sonic.
Yeah, the Sonic, and they're zooming. Dawes is dead. He's just gone. And now they're going to try to chase down Rocket and Bobby. That is perfect. They played that perfectly, except the fact that they stuck around towards the ledge for too long. And now they've lost their way. Okay, they played that perfectly until they didn't leave immediately.
Yeah, they needed to run faster, and while they are still finding picks, it's getting a little bit dicey. Granted, they are getting towards that like 45-second mark, so they should be able to
just back up and play this corner that you want to play anyways. So this actually ends up working well for them.
Wait, they're going back onto Dawes. They see blood in the water. They invest a window. Oh my. Laser barely makes it out.
Yeah, I don't like this re-engage. I think they should have just played the corner, in my opinion.
At the end of the day, they are killing the clock, which is exactly what they need to do. Like, if they can get it to overtime, even if Melbourne captures first point in overtime, that gives them significantly less room to breathe when trying to get pretty far into second points, right? So they just need to play the clock until it gets to overtime and then win a singular fight. So I don't blame the Lobsters, because they killed about 1.5 minutes with that stall, right? The cart's just now hitting that like corner that normal teams like to hit.
Yeah, for sure. Epic Shock should have pile drive it, gets as much shield as humanly possible there. And they will actually be able to chase down Laser there. So a good opening pick there. But the minefield is going to zone off where Lobsters are able to rotate. So a nicely placed minefield there from Epic Shock forces the positioning of the Lobsters and gets a few kills on its own.
I'm not sure about that second engagement there from the Lobsters. They really wanted to like at least get it down to a minute because you get 2 minutes for capturing first point. So they're basically at square one with even less room to work with because Melbourne just has to capture second point and that's it, right? Donk hasn't really been able to find any measure for his shatter. He's just kind of been holding on to it for, I guess, Overwatch 2. There we go, finally. But I mean, it doesn't do much.
Yeah, and they're caught in this flush as well, and they have the sound barrier to try to stabilize, but this Transcendence means they're not going to be able to find any picks, and the fact that they lost Quick Drainage just means that the sound barrier was just delaying the inevitable there, so Melbourne, they're going to take another fight win, and they have almost 4 minutes to go to finish the rest of second point.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, the way Melbourne and Lobsters are playing right now, it's looking like Melbourne's going to go up in the series because Lobsters just aren't finding the purchase they need. They're not they're playing at the speed they need to, but they're making too many mistakes, right? And that's the challenge. Is like you have to play fast, but you have to play clean as well. And especially when you get to the higher levels of play, which these players are definitely not, but they're trying to be at that level of like the advanced division. You need to play fast and clean. Right now, it's really just fast.
Yeah, for sure. As you have the attack visor coming out here, trying to find anything, but just gets struck down. So Melbourne in a bit of trouble here to start this fight off, but you see Donk he takes it down there. So, and a beautifully placed back there. Epic Truck Midfield have been so good this game.
No.
Jimmy with a perfectly placed Devo Bomb.
You're kidding.
Take down the support line. But Epic Truck Midfield somehow kills Gusty. Not too sure about that one, but
I don't know, but Melbourne can't push into this. Lobsters have the spawn advantage now and pretty much forevermore in this map. Femi 100% saved that because otherwise Melbourne was just going to push in and continue to get dangerously close.
that bomb is just like inside of them. And now you have to flux. If you could take down this immortality kills they managed to do, this could be deadly, and it absolutely decimated is the Louisiana Lobsters in Melbourne. About
they
10
can't touch.
from winning it.
Or maybe Tanic can touch. He gets a brief moment, but overtime is certainly not here. Yeah, it felt like Fimi's bomb, while hilarious and effective, it really only delayed the inevitable because Lobsters didn't use that to recompose themselves. It was just like stalled for 10 more seconds. It really didn't accomplish anything. Dawes yet again with playing the game. That is just a trend at this point, I'm noticing.
I mean, nicely done there for Melbourne as they go up 2-1.
Still got a long way to go.
I really saw the struggles that the Brawl Comp can have when you have the longer sight lines of a map like Rialto. But I also feel like there was just a lot of misplay from Louisiana.
Oh, 100%.
They felt really sloppy. I mean, like uncharacteristically sloppy.
Yeah, they're pushing a little bit too hard. Specifically, Donk was pushing really hard to go for these kills after the initial engagement, but he's pushing a little bit too far. Like I noticed towards the very end there, he had like 8 deaths, and everyone else on his team had like 2 less at the very least. Melbourne had like half that amount, right? So they're just playing a little bit too reckless. They're playing at the right speed, like I said before, but they're not finding anything from it. I'm noticing now on my secondary monitor, the stream is basically where Donk eventually used his shatter and like got nothing on the bridge, right? He killed, I think, Laser, but it didn't really matter because it's like, okay, what did the Ash get you, right? You got a kill, but like how valuable was that kill, and was there follow-up, right? There was no consideration for that. It was just like, hey, go in, press Q, hope something happens. No, there has to be a plan, there has to be a target focus, there has to be cohesion between the team, and there just wasn't from the Lobsters, right? It just felt disjointed.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really good way to phrase it, because this map and a lot of last map, honestly, Louisiana felt very disjointed. They felt like they were, like, each player had a different idea of what they wanted to do, instead of, like, this cohesive, like, hive mind, which we saw on Nepal, and we've seen throughout this playoffs, really. And so I think Louisiana really needs to just take a deep breath, recompose yourself. You got a map pick here. You have your map pick here, so you just take a moment and chill out, breathe, and come back with a try to come back and play a bit more comfortably. Just get back into the groove of things. I think this is probably the most crucial map of the set. Not only, like, I feel like this really is important here for Louisiana, because obviously this would put Melbourne on match point, but also I think this is the last chance Louisiana has to really recompose themselves. They could possibly do it if we go back once we get back to control, but I think here, if they end up losing this map, I think we're looking at a point where they might just be like spiraling and getting too much into their own head for their own good.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember earlier in the season, in the regular season, even I had complimented Melbourne in particular for having the ability to recompose themselves. So it's going to be really difficult for Lobsters, who earlier in the season were very momentum based, playing against Melbourne, who doesn't really lose themselves in the series, right? They can get outplayed by a lot of players with higher skill ceilings than them, but you need to play that way for at least 4 maps. So it's going to be an uphill battle from here for the Lobsters, right? They need to figure something out. They're going to Temple of Anubis. Lobsters map pick. Certainly not the last map we're going to be seeing. We're guaranteed at least one more after this, heading back to Control. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see, do they even want to run the Brawl anymore? Do they want to go more towards like the Winston compositions, which they have played a good amount in the past? The Lobsters have. Whereas Melbourne, they're perfectly at home playing the Wrecking Ball here. I mean, second point, maybe want to swap to something else, but first point, absolutely, you can get away with the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, so like I think this is a situation where Lobsters, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up losing first point here on their defense. I mean, they'll end up attacking first, so we actually have to, but I think if they could I wouldn't be surprised if they lose first point on their defense. But then second point, I think they could definitely hold, especially like Ball struggles a lot on second point on Toa. So I think second point, excuse me, will be really important to see how Louisiana has kind of recomposed themselves. Obviously, with them attacking first, they got to capture first point anyways. And I think they should not have too much trouble attacking into this. Brawl is very effective on the attack here, as well as the ball comp. So you have two comps that really good first point. At its second point, I think you do favor the brawl comp traditionally. But if Louisiana is playing sloppy, they might be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, definitely, especially on their offense, which they're doing first. Once you get to second point, it's very easy to punish sloppy rotations and overextending. So it's gonna get into do or die territory for the Lobsters here. Like you said, if they lose this map, they go down 3-1 in the series. It feels like Melbourne will have the momentum at that point, because they're certainly not getting rattled thus far, right? Like Nepal, they were definitely playing an uphill battle, but they didn't feel rattled, right? It was still very close at times. And now, I mean, they're just running away with it on the last 2 maps. Still far from over. I want to emphasize that, but the Lobsters really need to change something about their approach here. Teasing, stereotypical brawl, no reason for Melbourne to change anything. I mean, the comp they played in the last map is perfectly viable and actually quite good on the defense here. Yeah. I don't think the Lobsters are teasing us whatsoever. They're just going to be running out on old reliable.
Yeah.
Defend objective A.
They're going out left side here to avoid like an opening pick there. Money came out, or even like the axe. And they can actually hit with the dive, right? Good take here into the hallway. And so now they're going to try to stage and probably try to run down Dawes, is my guess.
More than likely, you see Dawes preemptively going over to the point. Tanic splitting off to try and pressure Dawes down, but I mean, he's alone. Mani is taken down, so there's a lot of poke gone, but I mean, this is back and forth.
Yeah, and then there's the pin coming through from John and directly onto Dawes.
Okay.
So we'll end up swinging him out, but incredibly weak. Needs to try to wait for his bat to come in, but Frick Drain.
He needs to live. 4 HP.
I mean, this is a really weird spot here. As you can see, they're just trying to hunker down in this corner and hope their Lucio can heal them up.
It's only Lucio heals for him. Frick is coming back from spawn, and Epic Shock is very aware of that.
Yeah, so you can see Monty is trying to chase down, try to take down Frick Draina. You have the first tick come through, but Tanic's going to come save the day, take down Monty, and now you have a big advantage here if you are the Louisiana Lobsters.
Oh, Tanic with the wall. Dawes is dead to rights. He should be anyways. He should not get out by any stretch of the imagination.
Does finally get taken down. Hiding's gonna come
I knew.
try to push people out. And you have a bot being committed, so and it forces out the sound barrier. So Lobsters are still having to commit ult to this and a lot of resources trying to win this fight.
Monty back on the Junkrat. I'm surprised he even managed to get back. Hey, yeah, there was no hiding from the bomb.
Res almost works, but you have the flashbang coming in and shut that down. Optical crash walked into a minefield. Nicely done.
I mean, he's gonna respawn in 2 seconds anyways,
It
so that's
doesn't
not a
matter.
problem.
And later got the 3-second respawns as well.
So I don't know if we could say that the Lobsters cleaned up their act, because that still looked rather sloppy, but it feels like Melbourne took their foot off the gas right there. And that's equally as dangerous for the implications on this series, because they really need to keep the pressure on. Lobsters, they get a hint of momentum, that's it.
Yeah, there's a big block.
Oh my god, Optical.
Probably feel to keep people off an Optical crash by 2, taking down the DPS line. Give him a third off the Epic Shock. Optical crash.
That's gonna be 2 ticks.
Topping off 2 ticks. They're looking for the third. You have Dodge trying to drop the touch.
Oh my.
Doomstick does manage to take down first Drano. Right, gets the Baby Diva as well. That's actually huge.
Optical, what the hell? Chill. Chill.
Optical crash is absolutely popping off. That's his 6th kill here. This fight has to hide it as well. You have the Skull still coming
What
through.
the hell?
Crash with the 7. Nearly an 8K for Optical Crash as they try to capture this objective. But Mommy
that might be it, though.
takes down 2. Gets the tag out of the point, strips the tanks alive. Now you have the respawn.
Oh, no.
Through. The supports are on their way back. This is absolutely insane. They're so close to capturing the objective, but the respawns are back once again as lasers here on the team. So see if they can get a punch, see if they can get a kill.
No.
But the focus fire needs to be swinged up here for Louisiana Lobsters. Epic Shock falling for such a long time here. People are going to continue to come back. Monty on the Bastion now, trying to put the pressure in as Dawes is going to get team-max.
Oh my.
Down
Oh no.
Technically will take down Dawes as they will try to regroup here onto this right heart as they have all 6 members back as you have the DPS on Tracer Sovereign now to be on the objective, but Laser on this dude is not quite out of it yet. Takes down
Wow.
but they will finally get the cap. 3 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock.
Wow. What a round. Oh my. Remember how I just said like 2 minutes ago that you can't step off the gas if you're Melbourne because the Lobsters will take every inch you give them? That's exactly what I meant. Optical crash just on steroids. Someone check his PC because that is not normally. What the hell just happened? That was unreal, like from Optical in particular. That was like the performance of a lifetime. 3 minutes and 11 seconds for Anubis. What? That's not normal. That is inhuman. I don't have the words to describe what just happened. Oh my.
Attackers incoming.
He is not quite close to a deadlift, but it feels like he should be. Optical. He's probably closer to like 40-45% of his team's final blows, which is just disgusting. Like, that shouldn't be the case. And now, I mean, they're coming out on the Orisa Diva with the Ashe and the Torbjorn. Didn't work for them on King's Row, but they were also in kind of dire straits to start that round, so I don't really blame them for that, and I don't think that's indicative of how well this is going to work. Mani teasing the Genji? No, okay, he's dashing back to spawn. The Hanzo I like a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. I see, like, they will try to roll out here, and on this terrific comp, so this comp can actually be a bit harder to break in, but Laser takes down for Drana, nice headshot there, and the DMF as well, so anytime I say a comp could work, they apparently just lose.
Yeah. Apparently, they should just not put Donk on Orisa because it's not working. I'm kidding, of course, that's not the reason they lost. They just got a little bit too aggressive, I guess. They didn't take advantage of the Orisa shield and just gave up the point. I mean, this is going to be like, what, a 5-6 minute time bank for Melbourne, so, yeah, six minutes and some change. Oh god, it's gonna be like 3 or 4 fights before Melbourne have a smaller time bank than what the Lobsters had, and we thought that was nuts. This could. Are we gonna see like a 7-8 Anubis? Because I think these teams have been through enough already, and we're only on map 4.
We still got more maps to play.
By the way, Doc, I can see stream says this is map 5. This is map 4. Either way, the kills are going a little bit back and forth, and that of course is going to favor the Lobsters here. Tannic just kind of hugging his turret, but it's pressured down. But as long as the kills are going half and half, the Lobsters are going to win this.
Yeah, defender spawn means that, like you said, he's half. He's like 50-55 full by the way the stuff. Nicely done there. And so Melbourne has to reset, but they are starting to build up into some ultimate.
Alright, well, 5 minutes and counting. They still need to burn 2 minutes off the clock if they want to lower Melbourne's time bank to less than what they had. But I mean, Melbourne packing a lot of ultimates. They have the Minefield, they have the Flux, they have the Transcendence, and the Dragons.
Yeah, there's a nice Flux there onto the supports, but doesn't result in 8 kills, but the Dragon Strike being followed up here to the backline is huge. 2 kills there. An Epic Shock putting some more pressure there onto Frick Drana, who should be falling any moment here. Point will start to be captured up, and you do manage to take down Shadow Capture though, so possibly winnable if you can start to get some respawns back in.
Dunk is on the ball, as well as Gusty. Well, Gusty's gone. Never mind, Gusty no longer exists. So this is like going to be at least a tick, maybe 2. The Lobsters definitely have better recontest advantage.
Yeah, for sure. Monty's going to go down here in the dark, so...
Start of 2CP.
Melbourne is forced back here. They look like they want to stick around and fight this, but they're fighting an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah, the bomb is going to help a little bit. That might even yield them 2 ticks, although Optical is there and waiting to stall as needed. Yeah, losing Strato yet again. This is going to be a lost fight. Melbourne wasted so much time in the trance. Why? You're not going to get anything out of it. I guess they want the Flux. Yeah, but I mean, like, what are you going to do? There's no follow-up and he whips it.
Monty
finding kills, but I mean, like, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I mean, they're not in the position to do anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Like,
they're throwing.
They wasted
their entire time frame.
2 ults there. The 2 best ults out of this entire lobby right now. They just wasted them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just how it be. 2CP in a nutshell, and Melbourne fell for it. They have some ultimates coming into this, the rally in particular being useful, but you have a lesser time bank than Lobsters, even if you capture this.
Yeah, they're gonna manage to push it here effectively, so they do recover nicely here, but I mean they wasted so much time on this last fight and a lot of so their time bank will start to be whittled down to about 2.5 minutes here, and they do get the cap, so not terrible. You'll get about 1 extra fight here if you are the side of Lobsters.
Yeah, and that could be the deciding factor, right? I don't know. It was just a little bit tragic there. Like, it's not terrible because Melbourne does still get a full 2 minutes, but it felt like they could have gotten at least a little bit more, maybe made the time gap a little bit less if they had just backed up and reset, right? But they kept going thinking, nah, it's winnable. The difference between like League Zero and like when the San Francisco Shock does stuff like that, right, is that they know their limits. They know what's feasible and what's reasonable, right? And they're also incredibly good players, so they can get away with a lot more. But like at the same time, their opponents are the same level of skill. You know what I mean? So like when the pros do stuff like that where they just don't give up and they pull off this miracle play, it's way different than when people try to do it here and they just get annihilated and waste like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah. I was gonna try to say something smart and then I like forgot what I was gonna say, but it's okay.
Well, I mean, something going for Melbourne is that The Lobsters are on the same Orisa Diva composition. They're gonna need to play around the shield a lot better because they can't allow Mani and Laser to get the value they did with the poke last time. Laser in particular found the pick on, I believe, Rick, who's already taking damage. They haven't learned, apparently. They need to do something about that. They just need to play around the pillars, play around natural cover, whatever. And drop back to point, which they are currently doing. So at the very least, this is going better for Lobsters, but they gave up a lot of space.
Yeah, they're like playing on this mini now essentially. So not the best of spots here, but I mean, like you said, it does kind of close off the sight lines for Laser a lot. But they do end up still going down. They poke their heads out and immediately just get blown to pieces here. This is gonna be Melbourne Midnight walking all over them, capturing first point.
However, the clock won't tick up as aggressively this time around, so they're going to be with, like, what, minute 15 or so? Yeah, there will be a little bit of a stall from Gusty, but I don't think he even touched the ground there. Yeah, about a minute 30 as it turns out. Expecting more of a stall. Based on the last time they tried this, they might not get any progress on this point whatsoever.
Also, Gusty went over to Lucio and lost his. He had like 40% to rally that he just lost.
He wanted to attempt to stall, but obviously that did not work out in their favor. Window, however, already there. The Dragons is going to nullify any value that could have found.
Yeah, and it's going to manage to get a kill there. Hack out of Flux, though, so big hacker from Obstacle Crash to try to nullify this effect of the Flux, but Melbourne is still fighting the kills, the minefield as well. Nicely done, so now
no longer drawable.
Get this full capture here.
Tanaki and Mani dueling on the side, but someone needs to touch. There we go. Never mind. The minefield.
Wow. And they still have time.
Yeah. Even with 2 minutes and 40 seconds, that's going to be a rough take for the Lobsters. They're going to need to pull something out of their hats. And while they had a great offense last time around, they need to really pull themselves together, right? They can't allow this to define their offense. Gonna have to wait and see. I mean, I would expect that Melbourne, there's no reason for them to change. The onus is on the Lobsters to force that. And they've been doing perfectly fine with this Ash Hanzo Wrecking Ball composition. Yeah, sure enough. Didn't even touch their swaps whatsoever. Laser, possibly thinking of it, but he's now walking out of spawn, so I'm gonna say no.
Yeah. So we'll have this pulse conflict again on the defensive side. Not too many surprises here. So it just looks like we'll see what defense primarily from both teams. I wonder if do Louisiana Lobsters like what do you do here? Because obviously they played first point well last time, but they kind of won off some big positioning mistakes. So if Melbourne fixed those like positioning mistakes, this could be kind of a rough go of things here for Louisiana.
Melbourne already fixed those positioning mistakes. See where Dawes is up on the high ground, so they can't get to him. Like they're gonna take the normal rotation. I don't think they notice Epic Shock yet, and they might be able to pressure him down. But the poke
Laser went through like the little window there from the side.
Yeah,
but
the poke is gonna be immense.
Yeah, losing Epic Shock though, that is extremely rough. So.
They should just run over to the point because who's gonna drop down and contest? But they're taking too long. They want to force Dawes off the high ground, which I respect.
I don't understand why Mani wanted to play there. I mean, he's just such a vulnerable position.
Well, now once they scout that Dawes is in the low ground, they should collapse in on him. But Donk is also incredibly low, and they need to heal him up. But Frick isn't there. Donk, that is not advised when you're like 100 HP, but he's surviving for the time being. They need to get on point, though. I can't stress this enough.
And Frick Drayna has gone over onto the Moira to get back into this fight, and immediately dies once again. And Laser, with 2 kills there from the high ground, will finally get traded out. And Optical crashes. Okay, that's enough. Finds 2 kills there and sets this up for the first point cap. So a rough go of things there, but they will manage to get it in the end, having slightly more time than Melbourne did.
Watch these teams have like almost 40 seconds at the end of each of these. Now, notably, both of these teams have relatively similar ultimates. Epic Shock in particular, having the minefield, that could be absolutely crucial to this defense. Granted, Lobsters are going to have like 2 clean fights and then maybe like a 6 stall after that. I don't find anything. No, they're not.
They're like chasing them into spawn. A bit too much of an over-aggression there, I would say.
Winnable, maybe? They need to survive.
Optical crash killing things. You still have your supports alive, so you get 2 ticks. The Transcendence will allow to get a touch onto the point. But Dawes
Rocket just vibing.
very weak. Rocket's gonna go down to a nice Maywolf here. So, I mean, optical crashes once again killed like 4
it's
people.
happening.
So
wait, did the blizzard?
There. Good shatter. I think aren't able to get onto the point.
That was a C9. That was a C9.
Was
oh,
it?
No. That was 100% a C9.
Were there people in dark?
There were people in dark, and there was at least one person underneath the bridge.
Okay.
Like, for all the times that I've defended Melbourne this series, which I think is twice already, that was saying, like, yeah, it's kind of not a C9 down as a C9.
Okay.
I
thought the guy's dark had died.
No, they were still alive.
If they were still alive, very much a C9.
There were 3 people there. Granted, Monty was in turret mode, but like, come on, man. Come on. You can't keep... They can't keep getting away with this. It's painful. Lobsters came out of that with more time, so once again, Melbourne is going to be attacking first. What do you say, man?
You said 8-7 as a joke.
Incoming in 30 seconds.
I mean, it's going to be more torturous for the teams than us, because we just get to sit here and enjoy it. Our voices are going to be slowly dying, but like their entire psyches are slowly slipping away from them at this point.
Casting Overwatch does make my psyche like... There's like rain as well.
Not games like this, man. I love it. This is what I live for. And this is great. This is one hell of a way.
Okay, a sneaky spot here. And Frick, after died like a million times on the Baptiste, it's just said, screw it, I'm gonna play Moira to have more survivability.
Yeah, well, it's certainly gonna allow them to play a lot faster because they don't have to worry about the
But they're in.
Okay, well, you can't lose people like that. You do have some of Melbourne contesting the point as well, you can see. I think that's a laser.
Okay, so laser just kills the back line. Like, okay, sure, and this is done. I mean, you have a nice idea here, but I feel like, once again, they just executed it kind of sloppily. They're like...
Lobsters cannot defend to save their series. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. I think that's very fair. And now you're going to actually go around to the barrack here, which could cause a lot of trouble.
I'm not sure about the far up pick. It gets really awkward in second point, and Optical just needs to hit his shots. Fimi needs to pressure him down, and they know where he is. Like, Tanic is getting dangerously close to landing a headshot on these icicles, so I'm not sure about the far swap. They need to, like, pay attention to him, though, because they're ignoring him right now.
Yeah, and it was... him and Laser combined for the kill there with the optical.
You're kidding.
And they're going to take him down. So they will most likely be able to get this capture here. They definitely will be able to get onto the point. The Bob stalls for a little bit. So you, not the Bob, the D-Mix usually stalls for a little bit. So you will still have some response coming through.
You have the stalls coming in, and Frick is now back on the Baptiste. Yeah, I would expect this to be where it ends, 77.9%, so Lobsters need to capture 80.0% of second point, which is not easy with a minute remaining, basically. A minute 15 plus, whatever it takes them to get first point.
Round
so this is very potentially going to be a 5-4 or 5-6. Or no, it's going to be 5... It has a potential to be a 5-4 still if there's no progress made on first point, but otherwise it would be a 5-6.
Yeah.
Initiating match.
So
this map is going on forever, man. Thank God we're streaming this and not trying to record it from the replay codes, because I would be dying inside. But yeah, I mean, they're 4 maps in and like 2 hours into this series. If that shows how close this series has been, it's so ridiculous.
I mean, this map alone, this map is taking like over half an hour.
I think so, yeah.
I can't. Hopefully we could I want somebody to give me an official time from the replay code after this, because this feels like one of the longest maps of Overwatch I've ever won.
I know for a fact I've seen longer
Attackers
back in season
incoming
1,
in 30 seconds.
Advanced Division. There were, I
Ah.
think it was like Crest and Easy Class, or no, it would have been Crest and God, Crest and Chengdu. It would have been, and I'm pretty sure they had a map that went like 45 minutes. It was 2 CP. I think it was like Volskaya went like
I
7,
remember
8 or
that.
something. Yeah, it was.
Yes,
It
yes,
just
yes.
was forever. It never ended.
I turned on the game.
5,
I
4,
saw the start of the map.
3,
I went,
2,
cooked, and ate dinner,
1.
and came back down, and the map was still not over.
Defend
Yeah, pretty
objective A.
much. Yeah, but now the onus is on Lobsters. The gates are open. They need to make something of this, but they can't take as much poke damage as they did last time. They don't have the time. They expected it this time around, and Monty's behind them, but he's gonna make anything of it.
Yeah, Panic is facing a lot of pressure, and it looks like they want to try to rotate on this high ground, which is good. You force them off the high ground, then you can drop point. You're gonna have Monty on this Tracer, trying to put in pressure from behind, but there's only so much to do here. And so now they take control of this high ground, and now head onto the low ground. Epic Shock trying to come in from behind, put pressure onto Frick Dreda, which has happened pretty successfully. Frick is requiring some extra
It's a
resources.
tick.
So that's the first tick on the objective here. The Wrecking Ball of Epic Shock comes in to try to stall, and Laser gets the opening pick there onto Gusty. Playing from this high ground here, but they do get a second tick onto the point. So Melbourne, they need to get some kills or start
They need to
stalling on the
touch.
point.
Okay, they do find Joe at the very least. That's the main tank now gone. It looks like the healing sustainability is now gone. Tannic does have the Blizzard. He does survive to get it out this time. So this is looking rather good for Lobsters all of a sudden. But losing Frick mid Coalescence isn't good. This is it. This is it for the Lobsters, more or less. Donk is going to be able to touch on the Wrecking Ball, but 1v4 is only going to be able to do so much. Optical Crash against Tracer, but this is going to be Melbourne heading into match point. What a match.
Victory.
Okay, Melbourne. 3-1. Even if this is a 4-1, this is one of the best finals we've seen in League.
In a long time, yeah,
Of
definitely.
the game.
I mean,
Okay,
this
it's not Dawes for once.
has been crazy. Yeah, Dawes' streak has been ended
Granted,
here.
Optical beyond earned this. Like,
mean,
this
yeah,
was
this was-
inhuman. My god. And that's like a fifth of what he did that entire fight.
That fight there, he killed 8 people.
Like, it's unreasonable to expect any more out of Optical from that. But either way, Melbourne now on match points. They need one more to claim the championship title. But I think after that, we all need a breather, so stick with us, folks. We have guaranteed at least one more map coming up after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Intermediate League Zero Grand Finals. Once again, I'm Jarvis, joined here by Acrodator, and we have seen 4 incredible maps of Overwatch right now so far, and Melbourne Midnights has gone up 3-1 over Louisiana Lobsters as we get ready to head to map number 5. We head back to Control for Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, definitely. One of those maps that normally we're used to seeing like first because everyone chooses Lijiang, but Lobsters opted for Nepal. Now they're going back and circling back around to Lijiang. Of course, if Melbourne wins this, they take the entire series, the entire season, as it were, and I'm sure they'd love to, but this is definitely going to be an uphill battle in some regards, right? In particular, the Lobsters have always shown a lot of proficiency on control. So I have my fears for Melbourne that they might just that the Lobsters might just come out swinging a lot harder than anyone expected. Like we said on Rialto and Anubis, the Lobsters feel like they're not particularly good at defending, and well, Control's basically just nonstop attacking. So I think it might play a little bit more into their playstyle, into what they can do. Granted, if they win this, then we're heading off to another hybrid, and who knows what'll happen from there. But one step at a time. Starting off on the quintessential brawl map of Lijiang Tower is Control Center, which I don't think we have to guess what the Lobsters are going to be running here.
Ready for battle.
Yeah. I wonder if they do stay on the Symmetra. I imagine so. And I think the second DPS slot is really interesting. You see a lot of Junkrat, which it currently appears that Melbourne wants to run out on. But sometimes you see May stuff. So I wonder if we will see the Sim Junk.
I didn't comment on it because I wasn't sure, but the Midnights are in fact debating us. They're sticking on the stereotypical Wrecking Ball comp, although they wouldn't be remiss for trying the brawl. But I think the one interesting thing here is going to be Mani on the Pharah. Who on Lobsters can deal with that outside of Fimi? But this is not really the map. What is this rotation? My god. That's hyper aggressive, and Dawes is just out of the fight. That might be a complete reset for Midnights.
I mean, incredibly fast. Right over just like that. I mean, the fact that they won that fight so quickly means that they won't be able to capture too much of the objective. So, not too terrible there, but really nice start. And now Laser is gonna go down. Attic flexing some of his Junkrat capabilities here, as this is Louisiana Lobsters starting off really well here on control set.
Yeah, I think they just feel at home on control, and the problem here is that Laser's, like, Tannic seems to have Laser's number right now because he's not able to do anything. He's forced into awkward positions, and if he goes into like a more normal position to try and finish off the damage that Mani's pumping in, he just dies. Like, Mani has a lot of damage being pumped in, but there's no follow-up because Laser can't live.
Yeah, Barrage is going to come through, take down the Symmetra, but that's going to be about it. And Earth Shatter now as well. And Tannic absolutely popping off 3K in the fight. I mean, he's looking absolutely superb here on the jump.
Mind you, don't get too excited, Lobsters fans. Temper your expectations. This is the one round that we expected the Lobsters to do well on. But they look well on it, so that's a good start. They're not boomed quite yet. And Shadowcaster is not allowed to exist, as the rest of his team is just getting staggered out. Someone's trying to backcap the points, but I'm not really sure who. Looks like Mani and Epic Shock.
I mean, Tannic has gone like a billion kills.
Tannic currently has a deadlift going. He's 6 out of 11 kills, which, I mean, the round isn't over, but it might be very soon at the pace this is going. What does Melbourne even have? They have Valk. That's it. They're not even close to anything else. I mean, like, Beats is the next closest. That doesn't build up fast. So, like, Lobsters can just casually toss in an ult here or there. They don't really need much.
Yeah, they're trying to run down the D.Va there, but it's not going to work out too well. You have this Barrage nearly online. There's the D-Mech. It's going to force out the D.Va bomb to get back into that mech. And now you're seeing them trying to stack up in this group, except the Tensions are playing on this objective to keep the flip from coming through. An obstacle crashes. High Noon will find the pharmacy. Nicely done. And now
I think that's it for this round. Maybe.
They could take this round 100-0 as they look to reestablish themselves in this series.
Laser technically had a Genji blade there, but like, he wasn't allowed to exist. I didn't even notice him. And Tannic, let's see, that is 6, 7, 8, and 9. Tannic just barely misses out on the deadlift for that round, but yeah, 100-0. Now, again, Melbourne is not the team to tilt and be like momentum based. That's actually the Lobsters, but the Lobsters just found a lot of momentum. And this is not the map that Wrecking Ball is the absolute best on, because if Lobsters take the point early and just hunker down, it's really awkward for this composition on Melbourne's side to like do anything about it. It's like a mini version of Nepal Village, and we saw how that worked for them like 2 hours ago now, right? It's really going to be the next round, so Melbourne needs to survive this one, and then they'll have a little bit of a compositional advantage if they can make it to Gardens, but that's a big if.
Yeah. Rotating onto the point here with this Symmetra. So, despite this map being kind of dominated by these sim comps, the Ferris find a lot of value coming side. So, be interested to see how it's going to work. I say that, and they don't run Farah.
Yeah, they're running Tracers. It's going to be an uphill battle in itself. But Rockets, okay.
Yeah.
Epic Shock needs to live, though, because losing Cassidy is not as valuable as losing the ball. That's got to be a disengage for Melbourne. They can't take this fight, especially losing Dawes right there. Lobsters smell blood in the water. They are sharks. And you're just going to lose 3 people, probably. Maybe just 1. No,
yeah,
2.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, so they managed to get a fairly clean fight here, and they do get a good finish percentage. So they'll probably have about 30% before the next fight start. So you take that if they're low.
See, but like here's kind of the source of the problem for Melbourne, right? Is how do you play Wrecking Ball into this? Like the Lobsters can just hunker down and exist, and Laser was not expecting that. They're still coming for him. Like he's gonna have Bob in a second, but doesn't even want to use it because he otherwise might just die. I mean, like, what does this Bob accomplish? Oh, look early!
Oh!
Okay, I'm sorry I doubted you, Laser.
Okay.
You know better than me. Lobsters hyper over aggressed.
I
Like
mean,
that was
I don't know why they did that. After, so they TP there, right? And then after they TP and Laser and Rocket run away, they should just go back to the point.
yeah.
Like,
I don't
I,
that was a little bit of um hyper aggression. Did not work out. But now, I mean, how does Melbourne contest this? They don't. They just let the point flip back over in like 2 seconds flat, and they're back to square one. That's the problem with this composition.
like,
Wait, Laser has another bomb.
yeah, I mean, Laser built that bomb so extremely fast and immediately gets blown up, though. Grit said it's going to come in so they can try to reach her up to the point, but the high noon's going to result in the D-Mech, and now Rocket is isolated here down main and goes down the pulse bomb is solid, though, so maybe you can try to find a way here if you are the Melbourne, but
There's going to be some staggers here, and this is not looking good for Mo. This is looking like a 3-2, not 4 quite yet. No team has 4 points.
yeah, I mean,
Maybe?
this ain't looking too great here. The minefield comes in, and it finds two, though.
Wait.
So Epic Shock, with the most valuable minefield of the series so far. I mean, quickly, Epic Shock's minefields have been more valuable than, like, they should ever be. He's done
I
so
think
many 2 and 3Ks. From
that's
this.
more because of how the Lobsters are playing than like he's a god amongst men. I mean, he is playing incredibly well, but like it's also the Lobsters making mistakes.
Right, for sure. I mean, minefield is very, to get value, your enemy has to make mistakes, but,
Oh, that ain't good. That really ain't good.
And now the pulse bomb gets eaten as well, and now you have that sound barrier to run down Epic Shock. Like you said, this is map number 5 going their way. They will narrow the series down to a
He can touch.
It's just stalls coming
They
through.
can't find him. There he is. Okay. They found him. No one else can touch, I believe, since they don't have a Lucio. Oh no, I think Shock was there. I didn't see him.
They get a res as well onto Rocket, so maybe
It
in the
does.
Week update, you have this minefield here. Dusty gets spooked off the edge, but Cool Man's wall right back up.
No, yeah.
That's going to be it. Map number 5 goes their way, so Lobsters bring the series a bit closer, 3-2. But their only other map they've won is Control so far. So
Yeah. Although Kings Row was marginally close, again, not Dawes for playing the
Anubis
game,
was
so we're
better.
now on the street.
Do something!
Yeah, that was more Lobsters pushing a way too far. They had no right to be in that corridor unless they were just going to speed boost, but I think they had already used their speed boost to get there, in which case just back out, go to the courtyard. It's okay. Like it ended up okay at the end of the day. They got the map. It's 3-2, but like why? Why give Laser a free play of the game?
yeah, I don't know.
Oh
mean,
dear.
I also want to comment, why did Melbourne play Farah on Troll Center, but not Night Market?
My guess is it was just a momentum thing. I say that they're not a momentum driven team, but maybe it's like, oh, Farah really didn't work on Control Center, so let's not bother trying it on Night Market.
Farah doesn't work on the most heavy brawl map in, like, the entire game.
Well, yeah, you're right, but we're assuming that these teams, 2 hours and 5 maps into the series, are running on, they're not running on fumes at this point. Like this is a long series.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I guess, but like when you're just like, it just seems pretty like a basic thought to me, I guess. Like
We're also
a
not
Farah
playing.
team, you play Farah on Night Market. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. No,
maybe
I
that's
agree.
my monkey brain talking, but
No, trust me, I agree. But like, I'm also not expecting these teams under these circumstances to be absolutely perfect anymore, right? Like they're gonna start making
yeah, for
mistakes.
sure.
The pressure is on Melbourne because they have one more map win, and they win. They're champions, right? But that pressure is immense, right? It's so difficult to close that out.
I mean, yeah, the
I'm
hardest.
pretty sure. Has anyone on Melbourne won a championship before? At least here, I don't think so.
I don't think any of them have won.
No, I think the closest would be Epic Shock from last season
Yeah,
on Tenacity. Obviously, Tanic Base two-time champion. Fimi, I believe, was a manager, or he was like a coach or something. I think. I don't quite remember. And then a lot of lobsters are also brand new to this community, so hard to say. Either
yeah.
way, we are going back to another hybrid map. Anything besides Kings Row goes. So that's what's that? Blizzard World,
Eichenwald and Hollywood.
Eichenwald, and what?
Hollywood, right?
Hollywood. Yes, right. Actually, I would almost expect Hollywood. They seem to like that quite a lot. I've only seen Eichenwald and Blizzard World like once or twice this season, which is weird. Normally people like Eichenwald, but I guess not.
And I like Blizzard World. I might be the only one, but I like World. So they should pick it
Just for us.
just.
Well, I mean, if you're playing as Melbourne, I think Hollywood is probably the better option because that's a
Yeah.
very good wrecking ball very good wrecking ball map. Not necessarily the best brawl map, and you know what lobsters are gonna run at this point. We know what Melbourne is gonna run at this point. Dawes out of the lobby right now, but he could just be reconnecting or something.
I just want to touch upon like quickly the like on like closing things out. That is the hardest thing to do in sports. Like
Oh,
not
yeah.
just like sports and esports in a whole. I mean, you look at traditional sports, like these teams have specific people whose job it is to close games. In like baseball, like you have a closer because it's so hard to do that.
Yep.
It takes like a specific type of mentality to be able to go out every day and close a game. And I mean, how many times have you seen reverse sweeps in esports? I mean, the Justice got reverse swept on Thursday by the Dallas. They dominated Dallas on 2 maps and then just
I'm
like
pretty
fell
sure
flat on their face. And you see
Mayhem.
that so many times in esports and sports in general. And we could be seeing that here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you just talked about reverse sweeps. I'm pretty sure the Mayhem just reverse swept Houston, wasn't it? Earlier
Yeah.
today. They just lost to Toronto on map 5, but I'm pretty sure they reverse swept their first map. Shout out to RuPaul.
I'm pretty sure
Great.
they also got reverse swept by Toronto.
Did they?
Don't
I thought it was
quote me
back
on
and
that,
forth. I
but
No, I think they went 1-1 in the first 2 maps. I'm
they
pretty
went
sure.
1-1. Okay.
I think so. I could be wrong. I don't know. I was watching it like half and half because getting ready for this, obviously. A bit of an
I will
overlap.
quickly fact check.
Either way, teams are just taking a breather. Still don't know what map is going to be chosen, but I'm sure Melbourne is, taking a moment to recompose themselves. They've done a really good job of that thus far this season, but I mean, this series is something else entirely.
Yeah,
Not just like
Toronto won map 1, and then Florida won 2 and 3.
okay, yeah. So it wasn't quite a reverse sweep. Close though. But yeah, I mean, this game is unlike anything else that Melbourne will have experienced thus far this season. So it's going to be a lot of pressure. Granted, it's not 3-3 quite yet.
Yeah.
It's still 3-2. They can give up this map. Granted, they really don't want to. They want to have that safety net. But I don't know. We're just waiting on the teams at this point. We're slowly running out of things to talk about.
How was your day, Acker?
Tiring. Why am I getting like 3 million different pings? Let's see. There's one in production chat. Okay, Knock found the thing. You all will know what I'm talking about at some point in time. I have 6 DMs from a certain person. I have another DM from a different person. Okay, that's a twit longer. I don't know why you sent it to me right now in the middle of the damn series. Let's see what this is. I'm gonna worry about that later.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
good stuff.
I do here's a fun fact. So G2 CS:GO, they played FaZe Clan today. Best team in the world, FaZe. G2 got the upset. Their IGL Hooksy, bit of a meme. Absolutely terrible mechanical player. Good IGL. Can't hit any shots. Only player on G2 to have a negative KD. 1 match MVP because the community just loves the guy. He's a lovely fellow, but his aim is not very good.
Well,
So there's a fun CS:GO fact.
I don't really follow any other esports besides Trackmania, but I'm not going to bore anyone here with that because racing game I feel like has very little overlap. I know Rockcraft's like Trackmania, but that's the only other person in this game. No, Alianos does like it as
I
well.
like the I like iRacing. Don't really follow track.
iRacing?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's like essentially, have you seen like the setups where people have like the multiple monitors and like the physical like wheel?
Oh,
And
there actually is a pro in Trackmania that uses a steering wheel.
yeah, so that's iRacing. It's like a lot of during COVID, a lot of the professional drivers drove in
Oh,
like
yes,
iRacing.
I know what you're talking about. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I didn't know that was what it's called, but I remember seeing like a small documentary on that. Yeah.
So I like the iRacing. I've never watched track.
I thought Trackmania was all like on or off on left and right.
What?
How do you like if you hold if you like it's meant to be used at the keyboard, so there's not like you can.
No,
It's not?
it's actually more so in controller. I don't know if the stream can hear you knock, but
Yeah, I can.
it's you can use like any control device. Actually, a streamer just recently like made a voice command thing and completed a few like meme maps that the community made that are supposed to be super difficult and like niche stunts basically, and someone did that with voice controls like forward, brake, etc.
Have you seen the guy who used to play Overwatch and he created these like
Yep,
food
the
controllers?
bananas. Yep, he
Yeah,
got to I think
Oh.
Diamond on Winston with playing bananas.
I know. And he had the baguette to play Widow.
Yeah, I
had-
do remember that.
The Doritos and the Mountain Dew to play Diva.
Yep, I do.
And he had an air cannon, like one of those mini air cannons to boop as Lucio. And he was wall right around Eichenwald and he like shot the air cannon to boop somebody.
Either way, I think the teams are just about ready to go. We are, in fact, going to Hollywood.
Okay.
It makes strategic sense,
Welcome.
and Lobsters have opted to defend. No real surprise there.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Back in.
All right.
No more talking about random other esports.
Uh-huh.
That was our Greek philosophy moment from season 4 Overwatch League. Unironically, that was probably some of the most entertaining stalling I've ever heard from casters in the Overwatch League. But either way, I don't trust Melbourne. I'm fully expecting the wrecking ball here.
Yeah, so the defense here, dude, I don't like the Donkarissa pick.
Attackers
Yeah, like he doesn't
Every
play
time
it
they
bad.
played Orisa, they've lost the fight within 30 seconds.
He doesn't play Orisa bad, but like I don't think the rest of the team knows how to play around him as Orisa because they're not utilizing his shield.
And they don't seem to also know how to utilize the like natural cover very well. either.
Yeah.
Like they have that problem with all their comps. They just like forget.
It doesn't matter with Brawl.
3,
Yeah, with Brawl it doesn't matter.
1.
Double bubble here. So I mentioned this a bit pregame when talking to you after. They like to double bubble a bit, and here we are going to see them pull it out.
Interesting. This is the first time I've seen it all series, so who's to say whether they're going to be in the zone for it? I know Dawes is a pretty gnarly Zarya when he does play it, but they played it so far. Epic Shock getting built.
Yeah, Monty in the base there, going up with the deflect. They can start to pick up the point. Epic Shock taking a lot of damage as they jump back to Rocket and behind the corner. So, and they does force them off the high ground though, and Immortality field to be used. So, definitely a good spot currently for Melbourne as they're putting a lot of pressure here on the side of Louisiana. But it's gonna be Monty the opening pick.
Yeah, and there's no chance to res that. Optical is just camping that high ground. There's nothing they can do but back up. It's a minute off the clock, but they have banana boost. However, Frick also has the window, which could be dangerous for the next push, right? Because Epic Shock gets nanoed, window comes out, he melts regardless of the nano. So we're gonna have to wait and see how this works out, but we're not gonna have to wait very long because actually potentially they go for a Dragon Blade here, Nano Blade even, potentially with like a Valk Nano
We
Blade.
just got like 30% to Blade in the span of 5 seconds. Not sure how this happens, but there's the Blade.
Nano Blade Valk, sure enough.
And it's gonna absolutely work out here. 2 kills with the blade, essentially a 3rd kill. He got the kill on the Frick, and that's going to be a nicely done right there. They have to use a lot of ults though. They end up using 4, but this comp has a decent enough ult cycle that they should be okay.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with like the Winston on board, you can just grab and then Winston just kind of exists, you know, dynamite in the grab, and that's a lot of damage. Early Bongo, they just disengage from that. There's no reason to take this fight. The card isn't even there yet.
Yeah, I think they were gonna try to collapse on Dawes who's playing from the hallway, but I mean, like you said, Dawes can leave.
You can just leave. Goodbye. Monty getting within an inch of his life, but that's alright because no one is quite dead yet.
Yeah, Primal Rage is going to come out, try to force him off the high ground, does so successfully. It's going to be Panic, who is the first to fall. Bonnie is not able to disengage with Epic Shot, so ends up falling to the Dynamite.
Oh,
and now, Optical Crash with a 3K. I mean, my player of the match so far, but absolutely popping off there and will win that fight.
Well, I mean, he was the hard carry on Engage for the early portion of the season, and he's certainly showing why now. Crazy amount of potential in when he has a team that's he gels with better, I guess. I wouldn't even say that Engage was bad. It's certainly not here, that's for sure. Looks like they're trying to set up for something with the Nano, but they need Rocket to build up a little bit more into that ultimate first.
Yeah,
awkward grab.
Grab comes through onto this high ground, and a good anti-nade will result in Dusty's death. The Windows team puts a lot of pressure onto pretty much everybody, though, so he will manage to keep them into this fight. Epic Shock trying to retake control of this high ground, and does get down for Drana, so definitely a winnable situation currently, as the Resurrect will also come through. So this should be Louisiana Lobsters finally, like, retaking control of the card.
Possibly, although they are going to have to come back from spawn. They are basically back already, but it looks like they want to exit out of the far doorway. Give them a little bit more time to set up and probably catch Midnight's off guard, although Epic Shock is going to check them out right now.
Yeah, he got the Nano Blade in this fight, so it's going to be a tough go thing. He has to dash out. Leaf Dart actually misses on the ball. That's not something you see every day. And it's going to get a ton of value there. Possibly, like, an incredibly crucial Leaf Dart
laser. You have to wake up pretty early in the morning to get the 1v1 on laser like that. But it's okay, because Tanakby gets the revenge. The cart stops just prior to getting too close to second point. However, the Nano Blade was not utilized at all. So they have that, and outside of the lamp, there's not too much they can do on the side of the Lobsters. I guess Tana could pop his Molten Core and just, like, you know, prevent Monty from existing on the ground near them. But not really the best situation. Yeah.
Oh, there's a huge kill there. Takes down Frick, who's their main source to stop this blade. It's that will result in Monty getting 2 kills there. Nicely done there, and so they will be able to most likely capture second point.
I'm not sure about Epic Shock using the Primal Rage there. I'm not sure how much it'll matter, but like, it didn't feel like it accomplished anything. Even like trying to spread people out on the Lobsters didn't matter because they were just dying so fast. Monty actually swapping off the Genji over to the Hanzo, and now I'd have to wonder how valuable is the Ana going to be, because now Epic Shock, okay, yeah, it looks like they're going to be swapping over to the Wrecking Ball comp. Keeping the Zarya for now, totally viable, but I mean, who do you nano?
Yeah.
Maybe Dawes?
Yeah, probably Dawes, in most cases, but I imagine you actually swap off of that Zarya once you use Grav, but, I mean, they don't need Grav here, as Monty manages to get 2 kills to open this fight, window be damned. And so now you can see Dawes just kind of engaging and taking a lot of pressure though, but manages to get to the next day alive. So nice fight in one day without having to use any ult.
Definitely, and now they do have the Grab Dragons as well. Monty building up to that Dragon so incredibly fast. They can just wait for people to come out of spawn. They know where they are. Yeah. I mean, he's been getting a disgusting amount of value on this Hanzo all series long.
Yeah, there's the grab, and there's the dragon coming through from the side. The Emo will be able to hold it for a little bit, but as soon as it pops, everybody falls. 5 kills. Make that a 6K for Monty. And that will be the map captured up.
Yeah, no one could even contest. Dom
Wow.
actually got kind of close, but a minute 20 is not the most daunting time bank for Hollywood, right? We've seen larger, but it's still really good that they captured with over a minute, because now even if Lobster's full cap, but it's in overtime, it's a draw or lose scenario for them, which is exactly what Melbourne wants. Granted, they want to just full hold and be done with the series, because they are on match point. Once again, first to 4, they're on 3, and they certainly do not want to give Lobsters the opportunity to tie that up. That would be terrifying for both of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, map 7 could be quick. Melbourne,
I just want to point something out real quick. Monty has probably 70% of his team's kills right now, so that's a deadlift and a half. 16 versus the next highest being 5.
there are 13 final blows with the rest of their team combined.
Yeah.
He has more final blows than all of the Lobsters.
Yeah. I mean, he did work. He got well, obviously the dragon helped a little bit. That was only 1/4 of his kills.
I mean, even then, if you get rid of that fight, he still is 1 kill away from a death.
Yeah. Which is just insane. He gets way too much value on the Hanzo in particular. I'm kind of surprised he's not playing it right now.
I am too. I feel like this would make a lot of sense to play the Hanzo, especially on the defense. It's super hard to play into it.
They might be expecting something different from the Lobsters, yet I don't recall what they play other than just this. But, I mean, hey, see what happens on the Tracer.
I mean, Donk goes in there with the pin. Just zooming in. That should clean it up. Monty gets the final blow though. So, managing to take down one, but that's going to be about it, all she wrote for this fight. I mean, really fast engagement. That fight worked exactly how you expect it to. Oh, that pin almost hit. I was about to, like, make a noise.
Still going back and forth, but ultimately this is going to favor the Lobsters as long as it's back and forth, but Melbourne's coming back from spawn now.
They, like, forgot that they needed to kill people to capture the point.
I think what happened more so is not just that they forgot to kill people, but they forgot that, like, they can let people disengage because they were going for kills that were, like, too far away.
They didn't even get a tick.
Yeah, so they just, like, ignored the point. And that's kind of the cardinal sin, right? Like, this is an objective-based team shooter. You kind of need to stick together with your team, which they didn't do. And you need to worry about the objective. Melbourne has learned that the hard way, like, 3 times now.
Yeah, both one's gonna come in. Doesn't actually get anything. Fuji's gonna come onto the high ground onto Cafe, and a solo shatter onto Dawes to secure that kill, but you end up losing optical crash as the Bob's gonna get thrown in as well. So a really solid fight coming through here from Melbourne, despite losing their Reinhardt in their Sigma, in their early stages.
I don't know why Femi went for the remake there. He's just gonna get demeked once again. And staggered out. I mean, he really doesn't have the HP to even survive. The minefield once again. Yeah. It's a lost fight.
I'm not really sure what they're doing right now.
I don't think the Lobsters know what they're doing. I think they're just on autopilot right now. They need to get off autopilot because they only have like a minute and a half remaining. By the time they come back and actually take a new engagement, it's going to be like a minute and 15, give or take. So this not looking too hot for the Lobsters. They need to find something, but they're fighting an uphill battle now.
Yeah. So, pulse bomb. Okay, forces out the immortality field, so that means they don't have it for this flux, but the stab barrier is there to keep everybody alive for now. They're going to try to run down Dawes, and they should be able to get the kill up, but the Transcendence is there to keep him alive. Blizzard's going to come in, and Dawes actually takes down Fortuna. A good Maywall, once again, should result in Dawes' death, and this time it does, advantage with a very solid icicle there on Sabani, but the Bob is going to create a lot of problems here on this point, but they do manage to get the first tick here, as this is finally looking like Louisiana might have a chance in here, but Laser and Epic Shock have something to say about it as they fight too. The minefield comes in as well, and now there's a small disengage coming through from Louisiana.
This is last fight. If they lose this upcoming fight, Melbourne just takes the entire series. They are the champions. And they have like nothing to speak of. They have Beat coming up in a little bit, but I mean, the Stratocaster can just pop the Valkyrie and there you go. You know, that's all.
Oh no!
This is looking like history's being written.
I mean, the fact that this fight ends so means you will get some sort of an engage, but look at this stagger on Fimi.
Yeah, they're not gonna let him get out alive, so that's gonna be about 10 seconds to touch. Donk gets staggered somehow. I don't even know where he was. He must have been.
Donk was never able to get out and just didn't die either. You have the sound barrier to be able to touch, and you do manage to get an opening here, but you need a lot more than just the kill on the body. Panic does manage to come in from behind to take down Dawes, and Dusty as well, so maybe there is an in here for Louisiana. Laser drops off the high ground to try to stall the point, but Panic's gonna chase down Epic Shot. How are they doing this?
You know, I'm gonna tell y'all youngins about a story of Tanic B. The year was 2019. The map was Hollywood. The team was Platchat. Completely different section of the map, but that's irrelevant. The amount of clutch that this kid had on Hollywood back then was unreal, and if there's anyone who can pull his team to victory by their teeth, it's gonna be him. But no, in all honesty, I think that was just Melbourne getting a little bit too excited at the prospect of winning the entire series then and there, and lost composure. They just didn't have the wherewithal to keep it together, have the target focus necessary, but they're trying to rectify that now by stopping the card early in the street space, because this is where you're going to kill the clock, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, currently Louisiana's comp is also just like a mishmash of like 3 different comps, so they gotta like figure out what they want to run here. Donk will go back over onto the Reinhardt, so now you do have a playable comp.
Looks like Monty's heading back to spawn. I'm gonna be terrified for the Lobsters if he goes on the Hanzo, and sure enough.
But that means they're down 1 for this fight. The clutch will come through, but it does when we hit Donk, who will get plenty of support to stay alive.
But Bob is available, and I don't think that's gonna contest the cart, but it's based. No, it actually will contest the cart, so you have another Monty, come on.
Okay.
Now is do or die for the Lobsters, because all series long they've had no ability to deal with Monty's Hanzo, specifically the Hanzo. They have to figure something out now, otherwise they just lose here.
Yeah, they gotta do something fast. They're trying to chase the body, but Monty's getting so much peel from Brig, and will be able to stay alive, and they are just getting all the kills. 45 seconds left on the clock. You gotta die now. You have one more fight if you are Louisiana.
I don't think if you're Louisiana that you can bide on Melbourne choking out the final fight each and every time. Eventually they're going to have the resources and the wherewithal to keep it together and keep you off the cart when it matters most. Lobsters, that's a great start.
The minefield though comes in. Epic Shock with 2. He has been doing this all series long, and he comes up once again in the biggest moment. And Laser with a great headshot. You have the sound barrier, but you need to get onto the cart shortly. But you keep losing players.
I don't know.
You alive. It will be enough to trigger overtime, but you don't have the members alive. This looks like it could be it. Melbourne Midnight, coming from the lower bracket, will be your League Zero Season 5 champion.
What a run, what a revenge story on the Lobsters, who sent them down the long way around to this map. And I don't think if you're the Lobsters that you can be ashamed of your, not just your playoff run, but your entire season run, right? Coming in to this season and being expected to be like the absolute worst due to unfortunate circumstances and a lot of insanity in the early weeks of the preseason, and even week 1 and 2, to this. I mean, losing 4-2 in the grand finals is nothing to be ashamed of, especially against a team like Melbourne, who I've said since at least the halfway mark in the season, they are a dark horse. And boy, oh boy, was this a match to behold. I mean, 2.5 hours of these teams' nights, and my god, was it something. But stick with us, folks. We're going to try and get at least someone from Melbourne in for an interview, possibly multiple people if they want. We've done that in the past for the grand finals. It's the final game of the season. Why not? But we'll be back from a short break, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody, and we are here with the entirety of the Melbourne Midnights. After a huge grand finals win, congratulations to all of y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Woo!
Thank you.
Loud.
Loud.
So how are you guys feeling after that series? I mean, especially after Anubis, felt like it went on forever.
Dear God. I feel like I'm 83 years old.
Yeah, I my friends have had children in the time that match took.
Yeah. Like really,
I
if I had
finally
to,
made it out of middle school. That's how I feel.
if I had to,
Played
like,
an entire baseball game. Time
yeah.
gone on.
I mean, like, even on that Anubis, like, all of us were like pretty chill. Like, obviously, we were laughing at like the fact that it was going on for so long, but like, we never really felt that it was lost, even after Lobsters took like the 3-minute time bank, right? So, like, all of us were feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
So I guess in particular, like one of the only strategic questions I have to ask you is on Lijiang Tower, obviously not your map. You guys just kind of like rolled over and died. What was the point of forcing the wrecking ball and like particularly not running the Farah on Night Market? I think is the bigger question that Joe and I were wondering about mid-cast.
I'll let Ahi take this one away.
Yeah.
Ahi.
All right,
That was the
Ahi.
Ahi special.
It's we weren't gonna beat them in the Rushmere, and so you have to try and find a way to like, I don't know, like if you're not gonna win the Rushmere, you have to go something that can, one, not get rushed on, and two, plays to your strengths. And so I was just like, you know what, let's just try like this Arab dive on control center. Like I've seen other teams make it work, so I just figured we might as well try and run it and see what happens.
Yeah, basically
Okay.
we suck at Lijiang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty true.
Apparently.
We couldn't even win it in warm-ups.
Yeah.
Twice.
We played it
going-
twice and lost.
We played it
both
twice and
times.
lost both times. Yeah.
It's a
So
ringer
going
team.
I was even on
into,
main spar for one of them. That's crazy.
Going into that last map of Hollywood, you guys forced the Lobsters offense into overtime twice. Was on that first point in particular where you guys eventually lost the fight, was that nerves or was that just like spawn advantage or disadvantage for you guys, I guess?
For me, it was definitely nerves. At least, like I was a little shaky. I don't know about anyone else.
I think I underestimated how fast their regroup was going to be. So I went for a bomb and main, and instead of sitting back where I had played in the previous fights, and it caused me to just get dove on and get picked. So I think that was a big part of why we lost.
Yeah, Laser didn't carry.
Yeah.
Real as hell.
Yeah.
Joe, do
Yeah.
you have any questions?
No, very
No,
nice.
okay, I can just keep going then. Cool. So, what was your guys' like practice regimen leading up to not just like this game, but like playoffs in general? Some teams they practice nonstop. Other teams I've heard that they'd like lighten their regimen a little bit just to ease up on the fatigue.
Yeah, I think we scrim probably more than most teams this season. We probably scrimmed 3 times a week. Ahi put in a lot of the work. He was there for pretty much every scrim. So I think a lot of credit goes out to Ahi for like being there for the coach, and like we improved a lot throughout the season, like through scrimming consistently and having Ahi coach the boys up. So I think that
Fish,
that
your
helped us a lot.
participation time to talking time is not a good ratio right now.
Yeah, that's real as hell.
I was a little busy, guys. I was a little busy.
No, but genuinely, like, I think a lot of our success can be attributed to Ahi. So, like, I'll fucking massive shout out to him for pulling up, being like super smart,
Goat coach,
and just being a crazy coach.
Yeah, he made me twice as good as I am, or I
Yeah,
was. at the
Ahi
start of the
definitely
season.
just won us like playoffs. Period. Like,
Yeah.
it was fucking crazy.
Also, Epic only 2 times? Really?
Maybe 4.
Something like that.
Monty, I have a question for you. So,
Hello.
how is the hurricane treating? I heard you were in a hurricane.
So I don't know if there was a hurricane or not. It was just a lot of like rain. And before the match, I tried to get a VOD review going with Ahi, and I literally DC every 5 minutes because my parents like would pull the plug on the internet because it wasn't working for them. So, so yeah, during all of warm up, I even had to play on the ringer team because I didn't know if I'd stay in the match like physically. So,
Yeah,
and I
we
was
had
just
Reborn on
shaking for
standby.
like, yeah, I was shaking for all of it. So.
Well, that's I think pretty much everything we have for you. Obviously, you've been at this for a lot of time by this time. So, do any of you have any closing statements? Of course, you can give like final statements of the season in your press conference. I don't know, in the coming days, I guess. But if you have any closing thoughts immediately after this game, go
No
for it.
Tanic V3 Pete.
Hayden didn't get second place.
We broke the second place curse.
And we also broke the
won
Rialto curse.
The Rialto curse.
We
Yeah.
also
Okay.
broke Michael's second place curse by giving him 3rd place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last season as well.
I
So-
do want to
last season.
I do want to give a few shout outs. Like, I already shout out Ahi, but again, Ahi is the reason we won. Like, Ahi's a crazy coach. Also, shout out to Fish. He wasn't there for most of the season, but like, just during the
Wasn't
draft
at all.
process,
Who's working on
again,
Kingdom? Who's
I'm
working
new
on
to League
Kingdom?
Zero, so I didn't know everyone. I didn't know the dynamics. I didn't know stuff like that. Fish helped me a lot with that. He helped me set up the pugs. Helped me strategize the draft. And I just want to give a big shout out to everyone on the team, whether they were playing today or not, because every single one of them is fucking crazy, cracked, and everyone here deserves this ring. I'm happy. I'm very happy.
You deserve to be happy after that series and after your season as a whole. But I think that's where we'll end it for this whole shebang, right? I think you guys have done enough for one night.
Also,
Thank you all. Oh,
can I give a one last closing statement?
No.
yeah.
Uh,
You just know.
fuck you, little pants!
I said that was enough, man. You should have heard me.
Real.
I'm so glad I beat Little. Sorry.
A little bit of BM in
I love
there
you,
to
little
end it off.
pants.
But anyways, I hope everyone at home enjoyed watching the series. I certainly enjoyed having first row seats. But either way, this has been the intermediate division for League Zero Season 5. Stay tuned for, at some point in the future, hopefully the advanced division will have their finals. There's an attempt for a reschedule. Shocking, I know, but we'll get there. There's probably going to be a game.
There might be.
Or someone's gonna die, but no promises. Okay, so that's all we got for tonight. Until we have some word on advanced, have a good night.